Ladies and gentlemen, back once again with round two. My name is CJ Kyles. I am the high value nurse. I'm a licensed practical nurse. Most of this channel is about nursing, but sometimes we go off the rails and talk about other stuff. Please hit that like button, that subscription button, and leave a comment. Y'all have been going crazy in the comments lately. And please keep up the good work. Today, I have part two to the discussion that I had yesterday with the beautiful ladies. Um, I have the gentleman today. My first guest I'm gonna bring up is a one of the is a very thorough brother, skilled trade brother. Plumber does his thing, Mr. CKQ.
Hey, how's everyone doing? How you doing?
Yeah, good man. How are you?
I'm pretty damn good, man. How about yourself?
Great, man. Great. My next brother I'm bringing up, engineer, computer engineer, or electrical engineer. He'll correct me when he come up here. Another skilled, talented brother, educated. I got nothing but educated brothers on this panel, so we don't have no dusties up here. My homie King Gene.
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing?
What's going on?
What's up? What's the deal? And my next brother, my brother in nursing, ICU nurse, travel nurse, getting it in, getting to the paper. Mr. Brandon, what's going on, sir?
Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing?
How you
Good,
doing?
man. Good. Well, fellas, how was y'all week? What's going on with y'all?
Fantastic, bro. Fantastic. You know, same like you. I'm grinding, trying to make my money, trying to become rich.
I feel you,
But
bro.
That's the vibe right there, brother. For
that's
real.
it.
Feel you, feel you. All right, fellas, let's get it in. We are talking about black modern men and relationships, marriages, all that good stuff. It should be a good show. And I wanted to bring in a group of brothers, like I said, because I had a group of wonderful ladies on yesterday. They all gave their opinions and they all gave their insight on what they felt was wrong. Um, I will leave the link so brothers can call in, but only for a short amount of time. And to be fair, since Anton Daniels pulled up yesterday on the ladies, I have to allow one of the ladies to pull up on us if they choose to do so. So, ladies, I will leave you a link. If you would like to pull up, then please, by all means, do so. So let's get right to it, fellas. The first thing I wanted to talk about before we got into the main subject, I got three other brothers that are hardworking, educated, skilled brothers. And I want to ask you about this whole thing about the high value man, particularly the high value black man. Now, as we've known over the past year and some change, um, our favorite YouTuber, well, I'm being funny, but everybody's favorite YouTuber, Mr. Kevin Samuels, has pretty much put a stamp on the high value uh moniker. So I would like to ask you all, you gentlemen, a question. Do you think now this whole high value thing is a fad and will wear out within the next couple of years, maybe the next couple months, or do you think this is something that brothers are now really aspiring to be since Kevin Samuels has made the term popular? I'll start with you, King Jizzle.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that um, for the most part, uh, right now is a special time for us as black men because we are, for all intended purposes, we're gathering things together and we're doing better. We're doing better together as men. Um, there are all kinds of statistics that lends itself to the fact that we're taking more responsibility for who we are as men and who we become for our community. So I think that even though the particular designation high value man may be a fad, I don't think that the goals that are associated with the term are something that's going to go away quickly because uh, basically what has happened is that you cut away all of the factors that uh, are counterproductive to us as men, and you honed in on the things that will give us the kind of success that we need to be leaders in our community and in our home. So I don't, like I said, I think the values, the thought process behind it won't go away, but maybe the name and the designation might fade away in the next couple of months.
CKQ, same question, sir. You're muted, sir.
Sorry about that. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. If anything, I think it's probably going to ramp up in the next couple of years because just like for women, how it gave them something to look for in men, it now gave men a barometer for what they have to be. So it's almost like for men, it was kind of like you were just told, oh, become a lawyer, become a doctor. It was just up in the wind. But now it's kind of like, okay, high value man. These are the traits of a high value man. If you want to get this, this is what you have to do. So now it's kind of like men are now like, oh, there's a road I cannot. Here's a path that I know will lead me to success. So I'm going to take this path.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. In fact, now people are going to start dissecting it a little bit more. I think the dumbed down versions of, oh, it just has to do with you making six figures is going to go away, and they're going to do a lot more like, okay, you got to build your character a little bit better. Here's certain ways to build your character. You got to build your capital. Here's ways to do it. Build your finance, build your network. And it's really going to start breaking down a lot more. And I think it's going to help a lot of young men out there now. So I don't think it's going to go away. And I think the term coming out was probably for the better.
All right. We see y'all coming in the room, man. Please hit that like button on the way in and on your way out. I'll greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Brandon, Nurse Brandon, sir, please give your insight on the whole high value man question, please.
What was the exact question? I know regarding Kevin Samuels, but what was the exact question?
Do you think the whole high value moniker is going to fade away? Is this something that's just cool right now in the moment? Or is it something that you think more men are going to aspire to?
I think men always aspire to be high value men. I think Kevin Samuels just gave it a definition. He kind of just gave a blueprint on the characteristics of one, but I think there was always a hierarchy amongst men. Men have always been competitive. Men have always, our goal was always to be the best that we could be. And I think that's just in our nature. So I think Kevin Samuels just gave us I guess the signs or I don't want to say signs and symptoms because I'm a nurse, but he gave us basically the hallmark blueprint of what it takes to be a high value man or what it means to be one. And I don't think it's going away. I think now that more people are more aware, I think people aspire to be as close, if not become one, basically.
Okay. Now, I don't think it's going anywhere, but I do think the fad of saying, oh, I'm a high value man is going to fade out eventually. A lot of cats running around talking about I'm high value. Like shout out to Fresh and Fit. Who they was just exposed, them clowns exposed for being they high value tricks. Now, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not gonna go in on them, even though I want to so bad, but I'm not. But this whole fad of telling people that, oh, I'm a high value man, I make six figures. I mean, who does that? You know what I'm saying? And I think that whole thing is gonna fade away. But just like y'all said, I don't think the whole status of being a high value man is going to go away because it's always been there, just like y'all said. So, but I want to ask, do you feel like men should aspire to be high value man? Fresh definitely got exposed, player. I'm not. Let me chill. I'm not gonna address the comments about Fresh. He got exposed. He was tricking. Go ahead. Whoever want to answer that first. Do you think men should aspire to be that?
I think men should just aspire to be the best they could be. Whether you become a high value man, just be the best man you could be. Everybody can't be, of course, because of the thing is called high value man. So of course there's only a select group of people. But I think if each man aspired to be the best version of themselves, it don't matter whether you become high value or not. As long as you're the best you could be, that's all that really matters.
That's what's up.
Agreed.
Not everybody gonna make. If every man on the planet make 300,000, then 300,000 be worth nothing. You know what I mean? If every man on the planet made six figures, 600,000 to mean nothing. So it's just a figurative term. But I think at the end of the day, men are competitive, and we all want to be at the top, and not everybody can make it to the top, unfortunately. So I think every man should just focus on being the best version of himself. And if you turn out to be a high value man, cool. If you don't, you did the best you could do, and that's all you could really ask somebody to do.
I think that's I'm gonna go against that a little bit. I don't think that's a. If anything, I think that's a mentality that's gotten us weaker men.
Break
I
it
think
down.
us being okay with, you did your best. Like, nah, sometimes you got to do better than your best. Like,
Mm,
you gotta be pushing. You got to be pushing. High value is you made the proper choices over someone else. You guys could have both been working equally as hard, but you just made smarter choices, which will happen. I think everyone should strive to be high value.
mm.
Doesn't mean everyone is going to get it. I think it's only a select few that get it. But if we're telling a nation of men, be okay with being average, be okay with being normal, you did give the old college try. Nah, because a lot of people will fake the college try and then be okay with living off of food stamps and shit like that.
Mm.
There's too many people that do that. So I think everyone should strive.
Now
And
for
not
the
everyone should make it, but everyone should strive.
now for the people that's watching, I want y'all to understand because everybody on this panel right now, they are educated men, they are skilled men. So these are men right now who are in the middle of their grind, chasing their purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's not just a bunch of cats sitting up here playing video games, jacking off all night. You know what I'm saying? So I really want y'all to understand that. That's why I feel like these men are qualified to speak the way they speaking. King Gene, can you address what CKQ and Brandon mentioned? What do you think about that? Should we
Well,
aspire to be high value men?
Well, if you're asking, should we aspire to uh, be an example? Because a lot of the things that Kevin Samuels outlines as far as what he considers to be a high value man is simply a brother looking at his life, being intentional, and setting a standard for himself. Now, if you're saying that, okay, I'm with that. And I guess the way I feel, it kind of leans more toward the area that Brandon was talking about, because I do think that we should be striving, like CKQ mentioned. I think that should be the focus. But now, if you are solely concerned with meeting the expectations of those around you, when you achieve this high value status, when you achieve this goal of being high value, is it something that you're going to appreciate? Is it something that came from within you, or was it done just to appease the people around you?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the question. If you're doing it to strive to better yourself, to be, as Brandon mentioned, the very best version of yourself that you can be, and see, that springs from inside. That comes from the inner person. It has nothing to do with those around you, whether or not they feel like you make enough money, whether or not you're an asset to those around you, whether or not you made the goal of money that Kevin Samuels described over a 5-year period. See, none of that has to do with, who you are in the inside. It's just something that you do to produce resources. And if after you produced all these resources, if you hadn't done anything to better your inner self, then like an old proverb says, a man does not result from the things that he possesses. So you have to be careful. You have to strike a balance between the two. So I can understand what both of the brothers are saying, but just be careful with that, because you don't want to allow the material things that come into play to dictate who you are. That's just not a good deal.
Yeah. I personally feel like when it comes to being high value and striving to be high value, I think it's something that most men, I would think, are taught, but we just didn't call it that. I never heard the term high value man as a kid, no, or even growing up. Matter of fact, the first time I heard the term high value man was last year. You know what I'm saying? And then it was some things put on it, and that's what it was, and people just ran with it. I think a lot of people are attracted. I think what Kevin Samuels did was he saw that and packaged it the way he wanted to, and he made it so it's almost as if, okay, this is attainable with this kind of lifestyle. If you work hard, you can attain this. Now, I think a lot of dudes do stuff to get women. I don't, whatever your focus is to becoming, or your reason is to becoming a high value man, it is what it is. But I think it is something that dudes should strive for. I do understand, because at the end of the day, it's all subjective, right? Because what's high value? I mean, when you think about it, but a person of value is somebody that can help others and give other people things to make them valuable. So in a sense, it's really not subjective. It is a tangible thing, but at the same time, it can be subjective, because what's valuable to me may not be valuable to you. You know what I'm saying? So, my next question, because we've talked to the ladies, well, I've had conversations with women for the last couple of days and weeks. Is there pressure on young men more than ever to live up to women's standards? Because I've seen young ladies as young as 16, 17 years old telling men that they need to make $100,000 at 16 and 17 years old. So is the pressure on? I never heard this as a child, and I'm only 31. So I couldn't even imagine. That was 15 years ago when I was 15, 14. You know what I'm saying? I never heard any of the girls in my generation saying, "Oh, well, you got to make this to date me." What? We still living in our mama's house. But it's young high school women saying that, "Oh, well, I can't date him without making this." Is there a lot of pressure on young men, especially black men today? Whoever want to go.
I think absolutely so. Like you mentioned, I saw that very same video, and I was sitting there looking, and it was amazing to me, because when you look at for any man, not just in our particular ethnic group, for any man, you don't hit your prime until you in that 30 to 45 range. You don't even hit your prime. You don't have enough experience to acquire the earning power to get $100,000, right? We're talking about for most people,
right?
So to expect someone who's still under the household rules of their parents, still living under their father's roof, to be able to produce those kind of resources is just ridiculous. And so that's the kind of pressure that you see. But it's, in my opinion, it's as a result of what they're taking in on social media. You see all these people living these fantastic lifestyles, and I'll say what you said at one time, CJ. Hypergamy is king, so they want that. They want that lifestyle, and they want whoever they're with to provide that lifestyle for them, regardless of how ridiculous it sounds.
Brandon, what do you think?
I think it's more pressure than I guess it was when I was growing up. I mean, pressure for me was making sure I looked good and had on nice shoes when I was going to school.
Right.
You know, how good you could dress. It didn't really have nothing to do with how much money you had. You could be the brokest dude, but as long as you look clean,
right,
and you just had a car. You just need to have a car
and a nice hairline.
That's it. A haircut, some shoes. You know, that's all you needed. You ain't need no $100,000 in high school. You know, and I think a lot of that is brought on by, you know, the internet, of course, and just false expectations. You know, I think it is unheard of for a high school student to be making six figures, let alone a college student, let alone half of grown people out here not even making $100,000. You know, but the funny part about it is most of these girls in high school say they don't date high school boys. They do dudes who just graduated. And them dudes be the dudes sitting around the school like they ain't got no job. They just sitting around the high school trying to get the high school girls. So yeah, they had a better car than us because they had a little job, but they weren't making no $100,000. You know, they was more developed than us, you know, because they probably lift weights more than us. They probably, you know, could go get the fresh J's before we could get them. But you know, women always did that. I just think now they have these false expectations of I'm 16, I want to do with a car. That's all. When I was in high school, you just had a car. You could pull 2 or 3 of them with a car.
That's a whole fact.
A car, you didn't even have to dress clean.
You get like 2, honestly.
Yeah.
Huh?
You had a bicycle, anything that can move.
Yeah, hey, as long as you got pegs on the front and the back, you was good.
Exactly, I'm telling you, the pegs.
So you know what I'm saying? Not even handlebars, baby. You can't even get on the handlebars. You're gonna break my frame.
Yeah,
you feel me?
like, come on.
So you know, I think when I was growing up, which I mean, I'm just hit 30, so I just think when I was going to high school, it was just how good you dress. Did you have a car? Could you pick them up?
Oh,
it didn't necessarily had to do with how much money he was making because none of us was making no money.
right.
You know, and it really had to do with how good we could talk, you know. So, you know, I think it took the art of actually getting women, you know, being able to hold a conversation, able to, you know, able to use the skills that you have outside of money. And I think a lot of these women think money could make you a high value man, but I don't think it makes you a high value man. You
Mm,
know, money alone just make you do with money. You know, I know a lot of dudes who got money that can't pull girls. I'm sorry.
that's a
And I
fact.
know a whole bunch of broke dudes in the hood that could pull a whole bunch of females with no money. So,
Plenty.
you know, it's how you carry yourself, you know, your demeanor, your confidence, your physique, you know,
Yep.
your network. It has a lot of things to do with it. It's not just money. And I think a lot of these people who chasing high value just say, "Oh, I'm high value because I make $100,000." And once you hit that $100,000 mark, you realize it ain't even no real money. So, you know, I just think those are false expectations that's put on young black men or even young men of all cultures. I just think it's false. And I don't think it necessarily makes them a high value person. I think it has a lot to do with the people you associate with. And I think if you look at your closest 5 to 10 friends, if they all super successful, all in the right fields, you have a network then, you know? And I think that could help you versus girls talking about 16, they want $100,000 figure dude. That's ridiculous.
CKQ, take it away, sir.
I think what young men need to start doing is stop listening to the women because women
Mm,
are, yeah, they want a guy that's like making over 100,000, da 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 da, but yet they're still always have a kid by the guy that's making like $2,000 a year
man, that's a fact.
With a bicycle.
with with a flat tire, like. So I think men need to stop listening to women and go after women more as game to learn how to talk to women. I think a lot of young men nowadays don't know how to talk to women.
Mm,
Um,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
so they don't know the signs, they don't know the cues, they don't know that like sometimes you need to talk less and you need to shut up and just let her ramble and talk about herself because that's what most women want to do is want to talk about themselves.
Mm.
And not a lot of guys know how to do that because that was a downside of social media for guys is you communicated less.
mm,
Guys need to constantly keep communicating to learn how to do it, become better at it because we're okay with sitting by ourselves at home and not doing shit for months at a time. We're okay. We got our game. That's it. We talk to people online. We don't need to do all that. But to become better with women, you need to do that. You need to constantly be in front, like practicing over and over. It's practice.
right.
So guys need to ignore women when they say, "Oh, I want a guy making X, Y, Z." Now, they want a guy that can make them feel good. The more you talk to them, the more you learn how to make every individual type of woman feel good. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. So that's why you gotta keep going out there, interacting over and over and over. Rejection can't become a thing that you even think of anymore. So young men need to focus on one, their purpose, and two, getting outside and talking to people.
Mm,
People, not just women, people. Because that's how you're gonna build your network and that's how you're gonna build your charm, build your charisma, which is also gonna help you grow. So again, in my opinion, I think the only pressure on men nowadays is that they're not coming outside of their shell more.
mm. That's what's up. That's what's up. And y'all, excuse me for eating. My lady just made some fire baked chicken, man. And I ain't ate all day, so this joint is good. You're gonna see me finger licking over here. Um, yeah,
That's
man, that was a good point. That was a good point. So I'm gonna get to the video. Man, I'm trying not to talk about these clowns. I don't want to talk about them clowns. Let me get to what I really want to talk about. I'm gonna get to what I'm about to share it now. All right, fellas. I got a video for y'all to react to. Now, I wanted to talk about marriage and the relationships between black men and black women. That was the point. But I wanted to lead off with the high value talk because it is such a popular thing, and most women, especially black women, for what I've seen, want high value men. So I wanna play this video for y'all. I want to play this video from y'all. It's from Ayanna Fix My Life. And I thought this was interesting. And pay attention to some of these men and their titles and what they do and it's just an interesting concept. So I'm gonna go ahead now.
Nice to meet you. How are you? I've been out with black women or approached black women, and before they even knew me, they said, "How many kids you got? How many baby mamas you got?" Dating outside my race, I haven't had no issues like that at all.
Okay, and you are?
I'm Koro.
Koro.
I've been practicing abstinence for 3 years. 3 years with no sex. I'm looking for someone that can respect my views on this, someone that can love me for me.
And you are?
Bo.
Bo.
Yeah, I don't date black women now because of past experiences. They like to place that strong personality on you, and sometimes you just kind of, just like, stand a woman's place.
So do you have any idea why you're here?
We share some of the same
Opinions.
About?
Why are black women so angry?
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. All right, fellas. Now, before I start, this is not a bash the black woman seminar. I don't want the ladies to think we bashing, but I want honest conversation. So, I wanted to ask you, King Gene. I'm gonna start with you. Are black women angry? And if so, why do you feel they're angry from a man's point of view? And sisters, I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to pull up because a man pulled up on y'all yesterday. So I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to pull up with any smoke y'all got. All right. So go ahead, King Gene. Are black women angry? And if so, why?
I think so. I think they're angry, disappointed, let down, any of the terms that I just listed. And I think it's because when they look at us, they don't have the perception that they should as the women of our ethnic group. I think when they look at us, they don't see examples of individuals who they can trust. A lot of them don't. I was listening to the panel yesterday, and that's one of the things that kept coming up, the inability to trust because of the things that they saw growing up around them. And so because of the fact that they saw so many things growing up, then that kind of went along in life with them. And it showed itself in the relationships that they were involved in. A lot of the women described relationships that they were in that if they had proper positive male role models, they would never have been in those relationships in the first place. So I think a lot of this is animated by fear that things are not going to go well. And so when they look at us, that's what they see. They see an eventuality of something going wrong. And a lot of women just they're not willing to take that chance.
You muted, CJ.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, CKQ. What do you think?
I'm sorry. Ask the question again.
Are black women angry? And if so, why do you feel they're angry?
Are black women angry? If so, why?
Take your time, bro. Take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got time.
Can you come back to me?
All right. Brandon, are black women angry? If so, why?
I think black women are angry. I think some of them are angry. Not everybody's, of course, angry because I don't like to generalize people. But I'm gonna say a lot of black women are angry because they feel like they deserve more. Cardi B got this whole WAP thing, and they all think like, they the best. Like for some strange reason, they the best. And I think there's quite a bit of women that's fighting for, I guess, the most high value man they can get, basically. And with that, there's only a couple. I'm not gonna say a couple, but everybody can't be the best, obviously. And I think they all want the best, and with that comes resentment. And when they have to settle later in life, it kind of breeds a lot of angry, or it brings the ugly side of them. It could bring the ugly side of them. But I think black women as a culture, I think a lot has to change as far as their expectations, as far as their demands, and as far as their attitude towards the black man. And that's and also they don't realize that there's more women than men in the world. So if there's more women fighting for the select few men, it's just gonna breed a lot of anger deep down, and I think they like to compare themselves to people who actually are the ones that's able to get these men. I think they're trying to compare themselves unfairly and just say, if she could have him, why can't I have him? Or they try to to generalize things and come to a realization that not everybody can have everything. And I think when they come to that realization later in life, that's what sometimes could breed that whole shift in the way they think.
All right. CKQ, you ready?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I came up with something. I would say not angry. They're definitely delusional. So what I mean by that is Black women are hardworking, but they choose their hardworking over trying to work with someone else. They would choose standing on their own square. And that's where I would say that resentment or anger comes from, because they choose to do it on their own, but then get angry that they have to do it on their own. And it's kind of, you have no one to blame but yourself, but they would want to blame Black men because, the Black men aren't helping. No, there's no Black man actually that can hold a job or this or that. Like all the things all the narratives that are proclaimed about Black men, when it's in reality, it's like some of the men that you're choosing aren't doing that stuff. And that you would be able to actually do that stuff, you don't really want, so you'd much rather do it yourself.
Okay.
So that's where I would say that's where delusion comes from, in my opinion. Probably going to be some anger in the comment section, but hey, it is what it is.
No, man, I don't think so, man. I think everybody being very respectful. Do I think Black women are angry? I agree with what Brandon said. I don't think all of them are. I think some are, though. I think I think the ones who are losing are angry. And when I say losing, I mean the ones who make bad decisions in life, make awful choices, because I know a lot of sisters that are winning, but the difference is they're quiet. And that's what I tend to see. I see a lot of angry women, period. But since we are talking about Black women, the Black women I see that are very upset make horrible choices. And do not take accountability. I know plenty of Black women, like my girl, none of her cousins have children. You dig what I'm saying? All sisters, and they in their late 20s and everything like that. They don't have baby daddies running around here and everything like that. So that stereotype is broken when it comes to them. It's no going on the internet talking about N-words ain't this, N-words ain't that. It is what it is. But like, I think the ones who are losing are angry because, as TK Kirkland would say it, some of them have mismanaged their pussy. And excuse my French, but right. Poor pussy management. And I think a lot of those, like I hear the term, I gave you my best years, or I gave him my best years. And I think at some point we really had to take into consideration that you knew, like a dude don't just wake up. And I know sometimes people hide it, but a dude don't just wake up and turn ain't shit tomorrow. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of them are just not accountable. The ones who are angry, right? Now you got some who may be angry for good reasons. You dig? But a lot of the ones who are angry, they just make terrible decisions. I mean, I hear it all the time. And there are a lot of sisters who are winning, who are very quiet. They don't want to be in the spotlight. They don't want the world in their business because they know. I've seen sisters who won't even post, who barely post on social media, won't even post their man and nothing like that because the world knows she got a good man. She don't want no other chicks coming for him.
No competition.
She ain't not when they fighting, you never know none of that. She don't want to get an opportunity to do that. So I think the ones that are angry, got time for that. Exactly. I think the ones who are losing in life and who've made terrible decisions they're the loudest. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's profitable to be in turmoil. So I'm gonna get to the next part of the video. I'm gonna mute myself too. I forgot that I had the thing going. All right. So let me go ahead.
Was your mother angry?
To a certain degree, yes. She had that anger inside of her, but she made sure that she didn't pass it on to me. I see how she handles that, and she gives off that vibe that I get from women here. But when it came to me and how she approached me and taught me about women, she said, "Don't deal with this."
That's interesting, because as a Black mother,
Yeah.
my work was to help my son understand it so that he would know how to stand in it with a Black woman. Why are you here?
My situation is a little bit different.
Ayanna made a point. She said she wanted to teach her son how to stand with it, stay in it with a Black woman. How did you all interpret that? I want to see how y'all all interpreted that, and I'll let y'all know how I interpreted that. Y'all want me to repeat the video again? What she just said?
I got that. I mean, I got that part. I got that part.
Okay, so how do y'all interpret that? What does she mean, stand in it with a Black woman? Because I got two different things from that. But go ahead, though.
That's, I don't want to take. I'm trying my best not to take it in a negative way.
I did.
I'm trying to look at it as like, what could have been a positive outlook that she was trying to tell him about it. Like, let's just say, Black men go through things in the world. Then Black women might also go through things in the world. Maybe she's saying, that might be swaying her mood. But other than that, I don't know. I don't think there should be a point in time where you got to stick through with a man through, I guess you stick through some things, but not everything.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know what you meant by that. Because I don't know what can she be doing that you're gonna have to tolerate. Like what can a man be doing that you should have to tolerate as a woman, and vice versa, in a relationship? What should you have to sit through? That's gonna be like. I guess that's where I would take that.
Okay, Brandon.
I probably need to hear it over before I give my response. I don't want to just take it the negative way first, so I just want to hear it again before I give my response.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself. Cool. I'll play it again.
Why are you here?
My situation is a little bit different.
Why are you here? It's interesting, because as a Black mother,
Yeah.
my work was to help my son understand it so that he would know how to stand in it with a Black woman. As a Black mother,
Yeah.
my work was to help my son understand it so that he would know how to stand in it with a Black woman.
All right. So what did you get from that?
Maybe I interpreted this wrong, but from it I got that basically her job was to make sure her son could deal with or keep that nuclear family as far as a Black man dealing with a Black woman. But I think, women have changed over the years, and I don't think women of course, that lady looks like she's probably in her 50s or maybe late, 50s, 60s. I think, women have changed over time. I don't think women are what they used to be. And I see it from just the mentorship and how outspoken women have become over the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years. So I think personally, she's basically saying that she raised her son to deal with a Black woman and go through the tough times, basically.
All right, King Gene, what did you get from that? Because when I watched it earlier, I said I'm gonna point that out. That's real, because I think it could go several ways. But go ahead. What did you get from that?
I guess I'll go in the same, partly in the same direction as CKQ. I don't believe that anyone should stand in the traumas of anyone else. I just don't believe that. Because as an adult, it's your responsibility. And I've said this several times. I'm going to keep repeating it. As an adult, it's your responsibility to work those things out. So you mean tell me that her responsibility was to teach her son how to successfully navigate the woman who he's dealing with, to successfully navigate her traumas? Because that's what this is. The anger that we just described, all four of us, the anger that we described comes from trauma. Whether you want to agree with it or not, there's something traumatic that happened in that woman's life or in her mother's life that flowed on to her. And so she's still carrying that. And so when she meets you as an individual, or she meets anyone that's on the panel here, all of the brothers educated, on their way, focused on their purpose. When she meets you, now in addition to the things that you have to accomplish within your purpose, now you have to carry the traumas that she's bringing also. I don't agree with that. So I'm hoping in the best part of me that what Brandon said is the case. I'm hoping that's what she meant. I'm hoping she meant what Brandon said, because when I heard that, because think about it, the brother mentioned that black women were angry, right? And so the topic of anger flowed into the statement that she made. After he made the statement about black women being angry, then she made the statement about her job was teaching her son to stand in it. Well, what are we standing in? What are we standing in? Now, of course, CJ, you know I don't cuss, but I think we all know what we're standing in, right?
A pile of it.
And when you're standing in that, what is your first inclination? To move and clean off your shoes. So what are we talking? I'm gonna leave it alone. I just don't, standing in someone's trauma, especially when it's trauma that you can address. There are things that you can do to get a handle on these things, or you could just have the self-awareness to know that there are certain things that I'm doing that are counterproductive to my relationship. Now, if you want me to stand in it with you while you're doing that, then I'm fine. But if these are traumas that you have that you refuse to address, then I don't have to stand with you in that. That's ridiculous now.
Well, that's what's up, King Jen. I appreciate that. The very first thing that came across my head was, why didn't she say, my job is to be the exceptional woman so my son knows how to be treated? Why is it automatically going to the negative? Because when she say stand through it, she didn't say what it was. We all knew what it was.
We all know
what it was, and it is. It's the bullshit. Stand through the bullshit, unnecessary bullshit. That's how I took it. And that don't just involve black women. I'm talking women in general. You don't stand in no woman's bullshit. That's why I am a big proponent of healing. Some of these people go from one dude to the next, to the next, to the next. No. That was the thought. I'm like, well, why wouldn't she say that? Yeah, okay, I may be in a crazy situation, but let me still be an exceptional woman for my son so he knows what to deal with and what not to deal with. How I took that was, yeah, I'm on bullshit myself. So I'm going to teach you how to stand in bullshit with the woman you with. And I feel like that's the wrong way to go. I would never tell my black daughter, to stay in a black man's bullshit, trauma. No, I want my daughter to be with an exceptional man that's willing to do everything her daddy is willing to do for her and more. I don't know, maybe she said something like that and they edited it out. I don't know, but that was disturbing to me when she said, I'm going to teach you how to stand in it. What is it?
I don't know. I'm just thinking now, like maybe she just wants to fire something back from him saying that. I think she wants to throw a counter argument, even if it didn't make sense.
All right.
I think.
Well, maybe. Let me get to some of the comments. Oh, we got quite a bit. The ladies digging y'all. Let me see. No, I'm not referring to them. Okay. Yep. They should aspire to be high value, but just don't become conceited or an arrogant asshole. I appreciate you, culture. Culture I already support, but I ain't talking about them. Shout out to y'all black men.
Shout out.
Lucky Chucky said hello. I gave the link. I gotta hear this. The ones who are losing. He said preach. J.I. said people ultimately need to understand that relationships are ultimately to facilitate survival. That is where gender roles come from. But we are in a time where the family unit is undermined and technology exists. Let's see. He also said the government undermines the family unit, and the safety of technology and society removes most danger from the woman in the first world countries. This allows them to behave the way they do today. Simple as that. Okay. Bloom and Ebony. Shout out to Krista Bloom and Ebony. She said, yeah, I agree. And listen, I'm opening up. I'm giving the ladies an opportunity. If you disagree with anything we've said, please pull up. Please. Because I let the fellas pull up yesterday. I mean, I let the women pull up. The man pull up yesterday. Men need to let go of these old notions of what relationships were because of the context of those times have gone and the behavior has evolved as a result. No marriage, no cohabitation. Focus on yourself.
I call bull.
I don't agree with that.
Break it down, fellas. What's the issue?
The reason why things are the way they are is because we let go of those old notions. Because if you look at, and you know, it's a lot of content creators. CJ, me and you have even talked about that. If you go back in our history in this country, 40 years ago, the marriage rates were better than they are now. 40 years ago, families were stronger. So what are we talking about? If you let go of the notions that were initially put in place as far as marriage and relationships are concerned, how do you feel like you're going to have better marriages? How do you feel like you're going to have a better community? Because those old notions that we talked about, being faithful, right? Working together, putting the livelihood of your household before yourself as a man, making sure that things are taken care of across the board. All of those things are old notions. And if you let those things go, then what are you going to replace them with? What notions nowadays can you use that are going to be better than those? And now if he can supply those notions, then hey, I'll digress. But until he can provide some concrete to replace those older notions, we don't even need to talk about that.
So even like playing off of that last part that he just said, no marriage, no cohabitation, focus on yourself. All right, fair game. Let's just say all men decide, become high value, focus on yourself, gain all the money and all the resources that you can in the world. And then women also live on the opposite side and saying, fuck all men, we don't need men, Then what?
We die.
That's not the point of life.
Right.
We need to, if anything, I'd say it's going to be, we need to make a new rules and understanding of marriage because we don't live in the old world. There's a new world now. Marriage, marriage before was about property. Then after that, it was kind of like tying families together. Now we need to kind of bring it into the modern era. We can't go backwards in time. We can only move forward. We have to start realizing both genders both genders have their role. The whole feminist idea kind of destroyed the male's role, and it's kind of like the female is the only role that is important. But I think we both need to start understanding both roles are important, and both roles need to be playing their role to work in a marriage, in a cohabitation, in a relationship. So guys need to know how to play their role, and women need to know how to play their role. So I'm not gonna say that all that is useless because there are some women, like we've met a bunch of women. So I'm sure some of those women were actually on CJ's panel. Like there are good women out there that would want to be married, that would be great mothers and all of that.
Yep.
So no, I don't agree with the idea that cut all of it out.
He said this is not a personal thing. Marriage is facilitated by the laws and the moral fabric of the context it exists in. These laws are immoral. and so are the people in America these days. Yeah, and CKQ just pretty much addressed it. It's an old ruling, and it needs to be updated. That I 110% agree with. All right, we're gonna get back to the video. Let me mute myself while I'm playing.
Why are you here?
My situation is a little bit different because I traveled a lot when I was a kid, very talented, very gifted musically. So because of that, when I came back to my neighborhood, when I was dealing with certain Black women, you're different. You talk funny, you dress funny, the music you listen to is funny. I don't like being because I had flip-flops on or I had a turtleneck, I'm gay. The problem I'm having is just because you're my culture and you're Black, you don't get a pass. All the women in my family, I got a side of cousins that made me feel weird about that.
The stereotypical I don't want to say thug, but the stereotypical Pookie and Ray Ray. Does the man, the Black man who does not identify as that, do you think most of those men are turned off by Black women because maybe they don't have enough swagger, or the nerd per se? Whoever wants to take that.
I'll say some of them are. When you're younger, you are. Because as you get older, you'll realize that what attracts women is more the confidence and how you're going to carry yourselves. So even if you're a guy that watches anime, manga, all that stuff, as long as you own it, that's you, that's who you are, and they're not going to come in and change you watching that, then you're still going to get the women that you want. But you got to own it. When you're younger, it's much harder to own it because you have no idea who you are. You still want to conform. You want to fit in with the group. You want to be liked by everyone. And when you're a Black guy, the stereotype is you're supposed to be an athlete. You're supposed to be tall. You're supposed to not care about school or your grades. You're all the athlete plus negative academics equals young Black man. That's pretty much it. So
I'm gonna say this guy because I'm not a thug. I never pretended to be a thug. I never pretended to be a street dude in high school. And I never had a problem with Black women. I never had a problem dating Black women. And I was into all the stuff. I liked wrestling as a kid. I liked Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I liked all that type of stuff as a kid. So I kind of disagree with the guy I really think it's a case-by-case basis. And then on top of that, I think it's just the kind of woman that you're dealing with, period. Because it's a lot of Black female nerds out there too. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of Black chicks that like anime and all that type of stuff that he was probably
Black
into.
community in general love anime. A lot of Black people love anime.
So I just think it was his lack of going outside of his area. But I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all talk about that. What do you think, Brandon?
No, I'm gonna let the other guy go. I'm gonna go last.
All right, go ahead, King G.
All right, B, I take it over. As far as the nerd is concerned, now I have personal experience in that because I still am a nerd, and I claim that with utmost respect. That's my life. But now here's the thing. I think a lot of times, because of the fact that an individual being a nerd or individual being intelligent, see, as an intelligent person, your life revolves around calm. Think about that for a minute now, because your intelligence causes you to try to put things in order so that you can achieve your goals. So you need calm, right? You need peace in order to do that, so you can think clearly. And at an early age, and even on into some of the later ages for some women, not all, but most, they're looking for excitement. They're looking for things that catch their attention. This guy scored the winning touchdown. This guy shot a buzzer-beating 3, right? So they're looking for things that catch their attention, things that are exciting. And so because of the fact that you're looking for calm, because you realize that later on in life, you have to You have to have the SAT scores to get into college, right? You have to have the piece to be able to finish the degree that you start. You have to have the piece to be able to continue to work to build for your family. And and most people, most women, not all, but most aren't looking for that. They're looking for excitement. And if you can't offer excitement, then they're not looking for you. Shout out to My Hero Academia.
Okay. Shout out
to Demon Slayer.
Yeah. Shout out to the Blooming Ebony, another black woman who likes anime, clearly, sir. So I think he wasn't looking in the right places. But what do you think, Brandon? Is the nerd ostracized in the black community? Because it's pretty much the same question, but this guy said nerds are definitely ostracized in the black community. Intelligence is referred to as acting white. We have been conditioned for mediocrity and failure.
Okay, so I think it depends on what stage in your life you're in. I think if you, I would say under the age of 30, you probably will be. Because I remember my teacher telling me in high school, he was just like, yo, all the athletes, they gonna have the girls now, but all the nerds gonna have the girls later. They should tell us that.
Sloppy seconds though? Is that sloppy seconds though?
No, it's not sloppy seconds, bro. It's that, listen, the athletes, they develop now, and the men that got their shit together later, they just precede them because women views change as they grow. When they're young, they want to do it at night. Like I told you, when they're young, they want to do it a nice body, little car, and dress nice. But then when they become adults, they say, oh no, I'm tired of paying my bills. I want a man who got his own. And it's most likely them nerds that now they're not nerds no more, CJ. They high value men who look good, dress good, smell good, got their own place, got a couple of cars, don't need them no more. That's when they need you, when you don't need them no more. So I think that's just the way, that's called the circle of life. That kid with the big old glass in the back of the class, the girls laugh at him, in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, all through high school. And then he disappeared because you know why? Because he going to a good college and they not. He don't see them for a couple of years. And they'll catch him later. He'll go by his mama house, go by his old high school and see them sitting outside and be like, that's you? You don't have 3, 4 babies. What happened? And then guess what they say? Man, I remember you used to be a nerd, but now? Oh, that's a line. But now?
Hey, big head.
Hey, big head.
I remember you used to wear the thick glass. You were short, but then you went away to college and you grew. You don't hit 6'2", 6'1". You got a 6-figure job. You drive this nice car. You know what's their favorite line, CJ? This is what they tell me now. They say, when you get married. they don't ask you, are you seeing nobody? CJ, I get this on a weekly basis. When you getting married? They don't know if you getting serious now. You ready to pay for all the sins that all other dudes gave to me now?
Ooh, paying for the sins of the other dude. Lord have mercy.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a bar right there.
They say, look, I remember I was in a chat with somebody in this room the other day, and the girl was just like, if I can't get a high value man, I'm just gonna grab me a Pookie, and we just gonna be together till I find me my high value man.
Wow.
So, I just think as you grow, their views change on that nerd. That's all I'm gonna say.
Speaking of that, I got something else for y'all real quick. I want y'all to check this out. I'm gonna mute myself because I think black men have something. A lot of black men, especially the younger ones, this is what they have to compete with when trying to get these. Some, not all, some of these ladies. It's just the fact that this is promoted to the masses. So.
Drug dealer or 9 to 5?
Drug dealer. I want him to move that weight. Scammer, 9 to 5 drug dealer. I tell the world I prefer 9 to 5, but I really want a scammer in my heart. No funny shit. I need a drug dealer and then a scammer, then fuck the 9 to 5. I want the scammer first, then the drug dealer, then the 9 to 5. Drug dealer.
Drug dealer first?
Yeah. They can take you out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
But you just complain
only take you out on the weekend. Drug dealers.
No. 9 to 5. 9 to 5. 9 to 5.
Drug dealers.
Scammer, number 1.
Scam.
But I'm thinking about like
You know what?
Or you want them to drip you out. You want them to buy you. That's what's going on.
Love to buy the girls though, so probably a scammer. As long as he don't get me messed up in his little works, he could do whatever he needs to do. As long as he give me some bread, then he's good to go. Scammer, drug dealer.
As long as you give me some bread.
List first. Scammer. 9 to 5 drug dealer.
Okay, same order. Scammer, 9 to 5 drug dealer.
Why can't 9 to 5 be first?
9 to 5 is good though.
Listen.
I like a nigga who's fast on his feet. Like, you know how to get to it fast. I'm jacking. I'm gonna go scammers. Because like I've been in a scammer at the top, and then 9 to 5 second, and then drug dealer bottom.
Scammer 3, drug dealer 2,
9 to 5.
9 to 5
9 to 5 1.
All my 9 to 5 fellas, we
They're
are
working.
winning. All us 9 to 5, we're
They
winning.
are.
All right. Thoughts, fellas? I don't even have a question. I just want y'all thoughts. I want y'all just.
I think it was easy to pick out those girls. I think right now, if you walked outside of your house, you could pick out a chick that's gonna say a drug dealer versus one that would actually say a 9 to 5. I don't think that's every woman.
Of course
I
not.
think that's specific women that you're targeting that are gonna say 9 to 5 or scammer.
And did you notice the only white girl or the only girl that was white on there said a 9 to 5 dude first?
9 to 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, there are good black women out there, but it just seems like the more that are the most ratchet is portrayed.
That's what I'm saying, and that was my whole point of playing. Is people thought I probably tried to play this because making it seem like all black women are like this. This is what's promoted. You dig what I'm saying? Like when I say the losers, they're the loudest. But go ahead, whoever want to take on next. Go ahead.
And then I guarantee you that as that video progresses, because most videos like that, in the beginning, it seems like they, like CKQ mentioned, they target the individuals that are going to give you the worst responses.
Yep.
But then as it gets over into the video, you start to see, I'm going to say, I won't say high quality, high caliber women, and they have a totally different perspective on things, and you'll see those answers start to change drastically.
Brandon.
Yeah, I think the women that they kind of gave the same answer, but I think he should have asked them, now what kind of job your daddy have? They all would have said 9 to 5. So, I feel like, I'm not gonna say all these women are there to blame. I feel like, some men share some blame into this too. I feel like, if men was raising their daughters to understand men of substance at a young age, they won't be falling for this stuff that's on TV so easily. I know you can't change nobody, but I feel like if these women knew what substance was from a young age, I think as they grew, they wouldn't accept or believe this hip hop culture so much. It ain't all about popping Molly's and Percocets and shaking ass and being the next Cardi B, but like I said, a lot of these women don't have guidance. And I guarantee you some of the women in that same video had college degrees. I guarantee you, I bet you 25 to 30% of them, I bet you 1 out of 4 of the women had college degrees talking about they want trappers and scammers before they take the dude that's in college with them trying to make some of themselves talking about they want that. Because guess what? When the police come, they not no scammer, no drug dealer no more. They the innocent bystander. It's all him.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it.
Okay. All right, fellas. Yeah, this is fire. I'm enjoying this. All right, let me get back to Yanla.
Anybody make you feel anything. You get to choose how you feel.
You don't know that when you're kids, it's a psychological imprint.
What does that have to do with today?
Now, with a black woman, I have this in my mind.
You muted, CJ.
I didn't mean to stop it, but that shit I don't like because she totally ignored what he went through as a child.
Yep.
Well, what does that have to do with today?
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, even though I don't necessarily agree with what he said because I think he probably could have branched off out his area, that shit right there. Oh, what is that? No, because if you were to say that to a female, all hell will break loose. He wouldn't. Well, you know what? I don't want to deal with a black man because he beat the fuck out of me 10 years ago. Well, dear, what does that have to do with today? Man, what? You'll be canceled. You'll be canceled. So, I mean, I had to throw that in there. Like, I didn't appreciate that at all, even though I don't agree. But just tossing his experience to the side. Well, what does that have to do with today? No, man. Clearly, you got something going on. Okay.
Before I even talk to you, she's gonna think I'm weird. And that bothered me a lot. When I went to junior high school, I got bused from Ocean Hill, Brownsville to Flatbush. And they spit on me and called me a nigger. They spit on me. And I was 13. And these were adults, not the children. So my point is this, that don't have nothing to do with who I am today.
You could tell he was tight.
And this is where the disconnect comes in between us because I feel like we don't listen to each other. I feel like we don't listen to them and they don't listen to us. Because I know women have some real issues. Black women have some real issues that maybe we're not so sensitive to. But clearly, well, I feel this way. Oh, well, I got called a nigga and spit on. So what that mean? What that got to do with it today? It didn't have nothing to do with the way I am. That's cap. Because if that didn't happen to you, you probably wouldn't be who you are today. It probably has something to do with molding who you are today. A Iyanla Vanzant millionaire, blah, 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 blah. So, go ahead. What do y'all think?
I don't think it's ever a good tactic to minimize what somebody else is going through to make a point.
Yep.
She just basically took what that man said, balled it up like a piece of paper and threw it in the trash. That's what she did. Now, IJ just said something in the comments I think was funny. He said, if you're looking for Iyanla to fix your life, you're already lost in the salt. I agree, brother.
Yeah,
I agree. And this is a prime example of why that's the case, because here she is. She's trying to repair some damage that has been done to this gentleman as a kid. But you can't repair it by dismissing it. You can't fix the situation by telling him, oh, you need to man up. You need to accept what reality is now. Well, he's not there yet. And you're never going to help him to get there if you don't deal with the issues that he has that's preventing him from progressing forward. I'm going to say this tonight. Look like this is going to be my word. Ridiculous.
and don't get me wrong. I do believe in some cases that we do need to learn how to move on and heal effectively. You dig? But I'm never finna minimize the next person's experience, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just won't do it. Even if I don't agree, I'll be like, okay, well, that happened to you. Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna go over here, and I'm not saying what you went through is not a horrible thing, even if I don't think something was horrible. But I'm not gonna minimize the experience, even if I don't agree with the experience. So, what are y'all thoughts? CKQ, Brandon, whoever want to take it.
Go ahead.
Like I said before, to everyone's answer, I think she's just trying to fire something back. I think she's just trying to like, oh, well, what you're going through is tough, but you should suck it up. That's really to everyone. Everyone said something. This is why I'm not dating black women. And she said something along the lines of, well, that's too bad. That's not a thing. It's not real. I don't believe you. That's essentially what all of her answers sounded like to every single person. So I don't think what she said was good. Obviously, he has trauma that he has to deal with. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I had something similar to that. Well, not being the nerdy guy. because I was the nerdy guy in school. I was the art kid. I was the anime kid.
Mhm.
You know, it was only later in high school was when like growth spurt hit, and you know, puberty helps out a lot. But early high school, being the nerd, that's not cool. Hell, all the way to after high school is not cool. So there was some trauma to deal with after, before I could start actually dating regular. But he needs to go through that. But her also minimizing everything that he's went through is just definitely not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can't stand a lazy man. Now, if some trauma happened to you that causes you to be lazy, I'm not going to minimize it, but I'm just ain't gonna rock with you, because I feel like if you able-bodied, ain't nothing mentally wrong with you, you ain't in no chronic pain, no shit like that, then you Gucci. Or you should be care about yourself enough to do something about it. But I'm not going to minimize it. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, that's your experience. Let me move on and get this paper. But anyway, Brandon.
The only thing I have to say is, from watching that skit, I realized that, you know, that's why men need men in their lives. You know, when you got 3 or 4 women talking to you like that every day, or is one of them is your school teacher, one of them is your mama, the other one is your auntie, you know, it kind of skews your views on things. And I think this is a prime example of why men need men in their lives, or strong men in their lives, to let them know that this type of behavior is unacceptable.
All right, bet. All right, let's see what she's talking about. Once more, let me see.
What is your experience?
A lot of black women, they don't want to talk to me. Some of them don't want
Because?
to talk to me. Some of them want to talk to me because, number one, I'm a God-fearing man. I don't believe, like right now, I'm practicing abstinence. I'm not having any sex whatsoever.
Why you ain't in the church?
Is that shit right there? That shit right there. Why you ain't in the church?
Right there.
That's a fair question. In her defense, that's a fair question.
It is
That's
a fair question. It is a fair question. But I mean,
even Kevin Samuels actually asked that question.
Some of the biggest freaks are in the church, though.
That's very true.
If he trying to be abstinent, but that's neither here nor there. But the way she asked the question,
That's the way. I think she said, "Are you in the church?" You know what I'm saying?
Why
That opens up a conversation. Not why you not in the church. Then he got to defend himself.
Right.
Versus, are you in the church? Yes. Then you got to elaborate. Or no. Now let's talk about it. It's like kind of like her.
I mean, she's not there to defend. She's there to attack every single one of their points.
And
That's what I'm saying.
She's gonna throw something at them every single time.
And one of the things that's a glaring misconception in this particular argument is just because you go to church doesn't mean you God-fearing.
Right? It's some real hoes in church.
I mean, and you know who some of the biggest hoes is? The one preaching from the pulpit.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. Shout out to Thaddeus Matthews. But yeah, hold on. Let me see.
I am in the church. I'm going to tell you about the church women. If you don't have a collar, they don't want to talk to you.
Whoo!
I'm straight up.
But
if you don't have a collar, they don't
do you
want to
know
talk
what
to
the
you.
collar represents, though?
I guess it's purity, or leadership, or I don't know, a divine.
How about power? Yeah. How about power? That's what it represents.
Okay.
In their eyes.
What the fuck does that have to do with not dating a black woman? Like, what do that even mean?
Well, I'm curious to see where she's even going to take this now. Okay, so it's now okay. So they won't look at him. They won't look. He said they won't look at me because I don't have a collar. She's saying, okay, but you know what the collar means? It means power. Okay, does that mean every single person in that place is going to have a collar then? I'm curious on where she's going to take this.
I'm gonna finish playing it, but this is the pressure. Because even in church, a place you ain't supposed to be judged, if you don't have the quote unquote power, you may not even be able to get a good woman. From how she putting it, I'm like, what the fuck does wearing a collar have to do with understanding why a man does not want to date a black woman? What does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, Y'all be getting my blood pressure up, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like Didi be having me watching it, and she funny sometimes, but she be on that bullshit on other times though. But hold on, y'all.
But let me tell you why I've called you here today. I've invited you here because my intention is to dismantle the myth of the angry Black woman. I believe it's a myth. As a Black woman, I believe it's a myth. I invited you here for a mixer tonight, just to be with some women, all kinds of women, all ages. We all have a story, we all have an experience, and we all get to choose. Tonight, you get to choose how you're going to experience these women. But I do also want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being a demonstration.
If I had to pay for that, I would want all my money back. I swear to God, I would want all my paper back. Give me all my paper back. Man, all right, fellas. What do you think? After seeing the whole thing and her experiment and everything like that, what do y'all think about that?
I think they screwed up by coming to her and expecting her to give them some level of solace in not dating Black women or some answer. She's not, listen, I don't know. I'm still going to stick to it. Men cannot come to, when it comes to men and dealing with women or relationships with women, men cannot go to women to get those answers. You can't.
Agreed.
King Ving, go ahead.
I agree with CKQ. And then if y'all notice, something very, very telling about what she said at the very end, her objective. And like CKQ mentioned, her objective was not to solve the issues that those young men faced that prevented them from looking positively at Black women. Her goal was to debunk the myth of the angry Black woman. Those two don't necessarily align, okay? Because you can still debunk that myth of the angry Black woman, right? And still have a humongous disconnect between Black women and Black men. You can still have that. Because, and then if I speak boldly about it, if you debunk the myth of the angry Black woman, then maybe men of other ethnic groups will start to look at them differently. Maybe that opens the door for them. So as far as what she's trying to accomplish there, it still isn't a benefit to those young men that are there with her. Like you said, I would want all my money back, and she'd have to pay for my trip home.
That's a whole fact. Well, I got curious because I wanted to see this mixer, right? So y'all know I had to get it. I had to play it. And I found it. So, all right, here we go. I found it, and I want to play this for y'all.
Hello. I'm Lexi. Nice to meet you.
You want to aerate?
Nice to meet you.
From approaching a Black woman is different from approaching a non-Black woman. Good, beautiful.
Thank you.
When I approach Black women, they don't give me the time of day. Someone just waved their hands like nothing ever happened.
Good, how are you?
Hello, Cora. How you doing?
Tonight, I will be observing the women of the Healing House interact with men who have the very same issues that they came in with. These men have resentment and frustration toward the opposite sex.
My man is in between all three white girls.
What a surprise.
Surprise.
Surprise. Is that where you want to be?
What? No, I'm right here telling you.
When Lita first came to this house, she thought she was angry with the men who have disappointed her. But the truth is she was hurt, and she invited men into her life who would reinforce the hurt she was already feeling. Now, as I'm watching the way she interacts with Mr. Coro, I can see that she still has not fully come to peace with her truth.
I'm Tyrone. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Tyrone. Nice to meet you.
Tyrone.
is anything other than black.
Oh, you feel bad when black men don't date black women? It kind of irritates me. I have a problem with a black man saying to me that I do not date black women because the reasons behind it are like stereotypical, and I don't like that.
I think black women are beautiful.
Are you bitter? To a certain extent, yes or no? Don't think about it, yes or no.
At a specific
We're
relationship.
taking a polygraph test right now.
No, at
yes
a
or no?
specific
No.
relationship.
Yes or no? Okay, so you're bitter. I'll answer for you. Yes, you are. Yes. Hello.
Not for me, brother. I'm an other lover.
That was actually a good way to handle that.
I think he said hello and walked off. All right.
Guaranteed she's going to go after him.
Why do you think, all right, from a male perspective, why do you think some black women get upset when black men do, especially the successful ones, date other women outside of their race, particularly white ones? Whoever wants to take it.
I think they're upset because they feel like these other women are taking their good men, their good men. I mean, there's interracial levels on all levels, if low class, middle class. But when they see a black man who finally got some money with another woman, they seem to feel some type of way. But I think that goes to the notion that the lady was saying before, that supposedly we were supposed to be raised to tolerate the black woman and supposed to work it out and just stand in that pile of stuff and just deal with it and not look for better options. Just like they do. They do the same thing. They be in a certain situation, and when they want to get out of it, they're going to look for something better. So I think when you choose something better that's not in another black woman, they feel a little upset, a little angry. That's my 2 cents on it.
Go ahead. King Gene, go ahead.
I'm with Brandon. I think that they feel like there should be a level of loyalty that's there, a level of loyalty that should be attached. And be quite frank with you, I agree to a certain extent, because here's the thing. What you're looking for, as I mentioned earlier in the show, what you're looking for as you grow and progress and you're working on your purpose and you're doing all these wonderful things, you're looking for peace. You're looking for someone to work along with you. And I don't want to be, I don't want to have any sweeping generalizations, but when you think about some of the attitudes that you're presented by our sisters. Now, I love them. I married a sister, but you look at some of the attitudes that they present, how sometimes they're combative. Sometimes they want to compete with you as opposed to getting on your program. Sometimes it's their objective to pull you down because they feel like maybe you've achieved too much. Now, I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
But in order for there to be the kind of loyalty that they are thinking should be in the mind of their counterparts, then wouldn't it lend itself to that particular perspective if they were kind and mild and cooperative? Wouldn't that help out? Because the individuals that black men who have money or substance are choosing, the characteristics of those women, why not look across the table and say, okay, can I be more cooperative? Can I help out more? Can I kind of work on my attitude, to be more positive? No, that's not what they're not working on those things. What they're saying is, okay, I understand that I need to be better in the way that I treat my counterparts. But instead of doing the work to try to make things better or to be a better person, I'll just blame it on the fact that they like white women. That's the easy out.
All right, CKQ. Why do you think some black women become upset when black men, especially successful ones, choose to date or marry outside their race?
I've actually talked to some black women about this, and I've never really gotten a good answer besides, black love, black is beautiful. Just kind of like buzzwords, buzz phrases. So I've never really gotten a good answer. But I will say that sometimes they're because I've dated everyone. So when I have dated black women, a lot of times I find them saying, "Oh, I bet you probably only date white women," and it's like, "Yo, but I'm right here with you." Just similar situation that guy just went through in that video. It's like, "Oh, but, well, you want to be over there too." Sometimes they kind of like they internalize things. They internalize things that they're going through with white women, and then they put the blame on the black man.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if there's any kind of issue, we're not going to resolve it. You're just going to run to a white woman. And then if they see a black man dating a white woman, oh, that just validates everything that they've felt.
Right.
It's validating what they feel already. So I think that's just the particular black women that feel that. I think that's them internalizing whatever they have against black men or against white women, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like those women who naturally get upset, because me personally, I don't get upset if a black woman dates a white man.
Not at all.
I don't get upset. Like, I don't care, to be honest, because that's her business at the end of the day. But I think they feel like the best of us. If he's the best of us, am I not good enough? I think some of them feel like if he is the very best of our class of men, making good money, have good looks, men look up to him, respect him, but he chooses to date somebody that is my polar opposite. You know what I'm saying? I think they kind of see that as a slap in the face. Now, I'm not saying they don't have the right to feel the way they feel. I mean, it is what it is. They can feel the way they feel, but that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. So it is what it is. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Would I date outside my race? I have before. Would I do it again? Probably not. You know, if something ever happened with me and Didi, probably not. I wouldn't do it because, in my personal opinion, I feel like no one can understand a black man like a sister at the end of the day. That's just my opinion. So I want to ask y'all. I mean, and y'all don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I want to ask you all: Do you have a preference, or do you feel like you have to be loyal to black women? Do you feel like your loyalty lies with black women being successful black men? Go ahead. What do y'all think?
I don't think so. I think, I think if you limit yourself to just people of your culture, imagine if you just said, I'm only gonna have black friends, I'm only gonna have black, black girlfriends. I think it kind of limits your exposure because, to be honest, most of the people that treat me the best are not black. I feel like, and that goes in the working environment, that goes in banking environments. When you go to a bank in the city, man, they treat everybody like we criminals. You go to a bank in a nice suburban area and you swipe your card and they see that balance, they start treating you a lot different. So, I'm just being real. I think that you can't limit yourself because you have to go off character, CJ, which you got to go off character. You can't go off skin color, and you can't do business with somebody just because they black. If it ain't the best deal, it ain't the best deal.
That's true. That's true. But my point is, in my personal experience, I feel like nobody can understand the issues that go on in the world better than a black woman. I can't, and this is just me. I mean, because that's mostly what I've dated. That's who I feel comfortable with dating the most. It's been times where I've dated a white woman and she just simply couldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? She just simply couldn't. I'm not saying that you should just be obligated to date black women. You date who you want to date, but that's in my personal opinion.
No, but I'm gonna just say this, CJ. I went to some inner city high schools, and there was more than just black people. Just because people don't have your skin color, don't mean they didn't grow up in the environment that you was in. There's different people of different groups, and every culture has poor, middle class, and upper class people. So I'm not gonna limit myself to black people because I don't expect black women to limit themselves to black dudes. You know, and trust me, if they want to get with men with these other cultures, they're gonna have to get along with them other culture programs. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, a lot of them other programs, they can't come with all that masculine energy. I'm just being honest. So, you know, if they're not gonna get with your program and they're gonna join another culture, they're gonna have to get with that culture program. You know,
Okay.
and that's just what I believe. So I don't limit myself on the skin color. I like the way she treat me. You know what I'm saying? I don't need her money. I don't care what she brings financially. Because you know, all these black girls saying, oh, we all in school, we got all these degrees, but then you ask them, you got 5 degrees, what do you do? What do you actually do for a living? How much you actually make? It's just like it wasn't worth it. They look at you like you stupid. So they up there with $300,000 student debt to get a job that pays 60, 70 grand just to have a title and have all these degrees. It ain't worth it. So I'm gonna just say I don't limit myself on skin tone. I go by character. And I advise anybody to go off character. Just because she black don't mean she gonna treat you better. You know, just because she black don't mean she gonna.
To be fair, if she was a black woman that treated me like garbage, then no, I wouldn't do that just because she's black. But I'm saying, in my opinion, it's my preference to date a black woman. Not saying that it'll be totally out the picture if she's black or if white, but that's just what I choose. I would rather be with a woman that's black.
So my thing is, when I was younger, I used to go based off physical. Am I attracted to black women? Of course I am. But then it comes on with that conversation piece, they mindset. You saw them black women in that video saying they want the trapper and the scammer. You want to compete with it? You want to deal with that, CJ? Nah.
If you want that kind of woman,
that's
why
what I'm saying.
There's all different types, bro.
That's what I was saying. There's black people, white people, Jewish people of low, middle class, and upper class. So I'm gonna just say I'm gonna go by how she treat me, and it don't matter. I'm not gonna exclusively say it's preferably black people, but I am attracted to black women. It's just has to be the woman with the right mindset. To be honest,
bet I can respect that. Nothing wrong with that, King Gene.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't think the measuring stick for whether or not a person should be loyal or date a certain group should be their race or their ethnicity. I don't think that's a fair measuring stick. Because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. There is, I think, when I last looked, there's less than 1%. Less than 1% of your sales make up the color of your skin. Less than 1% of the total number of cells that you have in your body make up the color of your skin. So if that's the case, and I hope that that statistic is correct, I'll go back and look to make sure. But if that statistic is correct, you mean to tell me I'm basing who I'm going to spend the rest of my life off external appearance? And I just can't do it. Now, as you asking me, do I prefer black women? Absolutely. But I don't prefer their mannerisms. And I'm not saying all, I'm saying some. I don't prefer the trauma that they continue to carry with them as a badge of honor. I'm a strong, independent, I don't need no man. Right? We've heard that several times. That comes from trauma. That comes from the inability to trust. That comes from the inability to look across the table at your counterpart and see someone that you can put your hopes and dreams on their shoulders, and both of you all can move forward and make something positive. So if you're asking me to stand in it, right? You're asking me to stand in it with them in this particular case? No, that's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick for me is, can I see this woman in my future? Can I see her providing me with the things that I need to be successful and to raise a family of balanced individuals? If I can see that, then we good. If she just happens to be black, that's a plus. But I'm not saying I'm not going to go as far as saying the only ones that I would date is black women. But of course, I'm married, so that don't go too far no way. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
I want to say when I was younger, I didn't really care at all who I dated. But as I've gotten older now, especially heading into my 30s, now that I kind of thinking of like settling down, kids, all that stuff, I would predominantly my preference has shifted a lot more towards black women.
Why is that? What's the difference now than maybe 5 years ago?
Honestly, I want to be a little bit more serious now. I don't know what happened, but once I decided I want to be serious about dating and intentional about dating, I started looking more towards like, okay, I predominantly want to date a black woman and or someone of melanin, melanin in them. So that's like if not black women, it would most likely be a Spanish woman. From what I've dated, they are, in my opinion, the next best. But that is the preference right now, as I predominantly go for black women. It's still the same. They still have the same issues, just like every other race, though. Not a lot of them can cook. It's not a lot of black women. It's just women, period, in general. Not a lot of them can cook. Not a lot of them are really like thoughtful. Yeah, thoughtful is probably the best way to say it. Like they kind of want what they want from you, and if you can't produce that, then it's like, all right, well, it's on to the next one kind of thing. But that's from my personal experience. All that aside, me personally, I would want to date a black woman for my future, for kids' future, and all that stuff. And that's shifted mainly because I've gotten older. I don't know why. I can't really tell you why it shifted, but it was just one day I woke up. I was kind of like, you know what? I want to get serious. It has to be a black woman.
Okay. I asked the ladies this last night, and we were talking about distrust, and I think they unanimously, I ain't saying that right. They all agreed that it's a distrust factor between black men and black women. And so I brought up a point of the 60s when Section 8 was introduced, and one of the ways to obtain Section 8 was you couldn't have a man in the house. And it was seen as the government, they're saying that we're going to clothe you, we're going to feed you, we're going to send you to school, but you cannot have a man in the house. And it seems like it almost prioritized women to choose the government over their men. Do you think black men felt betrayed once that was introduced? I mean, I know nobody's that old here, but just from that, do you think it was a sense of black men feeling betrayed? Because I hear a lot of black women say they don't feel protected. Well, do you feel like black men, they felt like their women were not loyal to them when they were choosing the government set-asides for over them? What do y'all think?
I think that's absolutely true. Let me tell you why. I encouraged in one of my podcasts, I encouraged the subscribers, the people that were listening by chance, to take a good look at the Monahan report. We made reference to that report several times, Daniel Monahan. And in the Monahan report, there is a section called the matriarchy. And the matriarchy breaks down how it is that certain government programs that have been introduced, the way that the African American society existed in the United States, how that all played into the fact that our sisters decided that we were not qualified to lead our household. We were not qualified to be providers and protectors. And so they started to look to government aid for that. And so in the report itself, let me see if I can find that section, CJ. It says, okay, so now this is Whitney Young. He's one of the researchers that is quoted in the Monahan report. He says, but in a society that measures a man by the size of his paycheck, he doesn't, talking about the black man, he doesn't stand very tall in comparison with his white counterparts. To this situation, he may react with withdrawal, bitterness towards society, aggression, both within the family and racial group, self-hatred, or crime, or he may escape through a number of avenues that help him to lose himself in fantasy or to compensate for his low status through a variety of exploits. So several things mentioned in that Monahan report speak to the fact that society in general made it easy for our counterparts to look at us as being less than. And that particular institution, it exists to this day, because if you look, there's still women that say we are strong, independent women. They're taking food stamps. They're taking all kinds of government subsidies and still claiming to be independent women. So I think so.
All right, CKQ.
Could you ask the question one more time?
Oh, yeah. Because I think I want to reword it. Oh, with the, do you feel like, because I know we were not around then, but when Section 8 came into place in the 60s and some black women chose government set-asides over having a man in the house, because in order to obtain Section 8, you couldn't have a man in the house. Do you think black men felt betrayed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anyone's going to feel betrayed by that. If you had a woman every day at home cooking for you and you decided willingly in front of her face to pick like a lunch spot that was just going to keep giving you free meals, she's going to feel hurt by that. You know? So, yeah, if a man is doing the best he can and you decide in front of his face to pick the government, yeah, he's going to be big time hurt by that. So, yeah, black men were definitely personally affected by that decision emotionally. And for most men, when you're hurt emotionally, what you do is you suck it up and you keep working. You're going to internalize all that, and you're going to hold some level of animosity towards that person that did that to you. So I don't think it's good that we're going to hold in those feelings, but that's really what happened. And I think that's also part of what led to the downfall of the black community, which is black women picking that and black men internalizing that resentment as well. Like they didn't really say they didn't really say anything about it. They just kind of, what men do is you feel bad, you just keep it pushing, keep moving, you know? You know, you get knocked down, get up and just keep moving. That's just it. That's what you got to do. That's what's expected.
For sure. J.I. Is it J.I.?
Yes, sir. It's J.I.
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Thanks for having me.
No
Good
problem.
show.
Appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you for watching. So go ahead. Where you want to start at? What do you want to address?
Picking off of what the last brother just said. Yeah, it's all by design. The government undermines, and actually both of them touched on it. There's no such thing as you being strong and independent and you getting help from the government. You see, what the government has done is undermine the man and undermine the family unit in such a way that women can survive without the man. And this is unprecedented in history, because prior to this and government intervention, all throughout history and time, we had gender roles. Men did certain things, women did certain things, but women needed men to survive. It's only in these recent times where women do not. And people seem to forget that all behavior is nothing more than a product of the consequences. So if you take a species, any animal or whatever, and you start rewarding them, all it is conditioning. Once any animal or creature knows, hey, I can still survive without having to do something that's uncomfortable, well, it's no more need for them to do it. So by incentivizing the women to go against the men with whatever benefits and creating an environment where they're not thriving, but they're not in fear of immediate death, then it ultimately undermines the family, creates a voter block for them to continue to vote for these benefits. The government gets what they want, the family unit gets destroyed, and we get what we have today. It's by design. Yeah.
So ultimately, with the women, and being in that situation? Where do you see them? Let's just say the women who are in their mid-20s to 30s. Where do you see them, and how bad is it going to be with all that you stated? How bad is it going to be for those women? Let's just say maybe 15, 20 years down the line.
Well, in my opinion, 15, let's say she's 25. Okay, 15 years down the line should be 40. If society progresses as it is right now, and all societies collapse, the only thing that's going to reset this is, collapse of society and redoing these rules. But for them individually, if she takes care of herself and maintains her beauty, because a woman's true currency is her youth and her beauty. But if she can maintain herself to a certain degree, and if she can get a decent paying job or whatever, then she can live a decent life. Now she may not be able to get the type of man that she wants for marriage or whatever, but she's never going to be in fear of homelessness or immediate danger from going from 25 to 40, especially if she's halfway decent looking, because there's plenty of guys that will line up to just give her things or whatever if she's willing to trade her body for it. So I don't see the behavior changing at all from 25 to 40. And they starting to say things like 40 is the new 20, all kind of foolishness. So the delusion is really seeping in deep for them because they're being kept for the consequences. Unless something changes where they're no longer kept from the consequences and aided by the government, then the behavior is just going to continue.
Yeah, I mean, some are definitely delusional. 40 is not the new 20. 40 is 40. And so do these women really want to be alone? Let me ask you that, and then I'm gonna ask the panel that. Do you really think are they just doing a lot of capping, or do you really think a lot of these women are okay with being alone? Because you hear a lot of them say, "Well, I can do bad all by myself." Are they really okay with being by themselves, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes. And here's what it is: they're not optimally happy. They would be happier with someone, but again, we have to look. This is nothing more than conditioning. They live in an environment in their ecosystem which they currently which they're currently inhabitants of. They can survive and get all their needs met without any fear, minimal fear of danger, no threat of immediate death or harm. So they are content with Netflix, going on dates here and there, doing whatever. It's not optimal for them. They would rather be whatever, but it's a small price to pay for their freedom. They're able to be unruly, do whatever they want. They don't have to submit to a man, because we really got to think about it. Disneyfies these relationships, but relationships were hard. To be with somebody and you got to do what a man says, that stuff was hard. Those women, unless they were rich, they had to work. They were cooking and cleaning. And cooking and cleaning back then, it wasn't no technology and stuff to help you. It was hard work. So they don't have to suffer through that. So being so free, they don't really feel like they're losing until it's too late. So I think they're honestly, they're happy in their delusion. Well, we have things like you can be, 500 pounds and you go, girl. They are in a state of delusion. And until that rug is pulled from under them, until they're actually forced to face the brunt of their consequences, which in a first world society, they rarely are, they will continue in this false state of happiness until it's too late. That's my opinion.
King Gene or CKQ, y'all want to respond to that?
No, I agree with the brother, because and if you think about it, that's really the basis for why the feminist movement has taken such a strong hold. And let me pause on that now, because we want to keep this on, right? If I use that word too many times, they gonna jump on us.
You know what? They already took one channel. If they take this one, I'll just start it again.
Well, look, don't let me be the reason why. But that particular movement, right, that's the reason why it's taking on such a hold in our community, because that's what it plays toward. It plays toward being, as the brother mentioned, being an inhabitant of an ecosystem where you have the majority of your needs met, and the ones that are not met, you will gladly pass off for the ones that you have at hand. So I think that in looking at the way that they behave now, the way that our sisters behave, not all, but the way that our sisters behave, that's exactly what you're seeing, because they would rather, avail themselves of government subsidies. They rather get involved in alternate lifestyles and marry other women than having to deal with what's required to successfully pair with a man and produce a family and move forward into the future. So I agree with him.
CKQ?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing that everyone said. Listen, humans in general, now we live in a time where we can all survive on our own. Is it going to be happily? No. I don't think a man or a woman can survive alone on their own. Women will probably suffer a lot more than men would. Just because men are a lot more used to being put on our own versus women get a lot more help from everyone in general. From when they're young to as they get older, there's a lot more people ready to help women than there are for men. So men were a lot more used to being on our own and having no one else there to help us versus women. They can say they want to live life on their own until they get to a later age where there's not as many people ready to help them out. And that's when it's really going to hit, I think. But because that's why you see, like, even on YouTube, when you go around YouTube and you're searching it's usually like the older women that'll be saying like, I wish I knew this when I was younger. I wouldn't have made these choices, X, Y, Z. But for a lot of the older men, they're usually telling the guys like, yo, let's keep working on your money, keep stacking your money. You'll be fine. You'll be good. So yeah, I think the women will say that when they're younger, but they usually regret it when they're older. Because when you're younger, you have all the power, all the play, all the pull.
I think this generation, the one that were raised by Beyonce's, and I love Beyonce, shout out to you, B, but the ones that were raised by the I'm a Survivors movement and all the single lady movements, I really think they're going to be in for a rude awakening very, very, very soon. Because it's cool to talk that, I don't need a man stuff. I mean, a lot of that is cap, but I mean, because most of them be laid up with bums and all that. And I'm not just talking about black women at this point. I'm talking about all women. But a lot of them be laid up with bums and be laid up with dudes anyway. We'll be talking that, all the single ladies, independent women and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's going to really hit because I don't think a lot of women really want to be alone. And you can see now from all the YouTube channels, all the TV shows, that when these women hit 40, 45, 50 and still alone, their attitude shifts. The demeanor's different. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like oh shit, I'm really about to die alone. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like now I see a lot of women in their 40s and 50s in panic mode. Like, okay, I have to get through the rest of my natural life by myself. And I know they can do it. And just like we all said, it's just not optimal for them to do it. But I think now, and especially with the way the younger ones under them, like Gen Z, I don't know what's going to go on with that group. But I think a lot of women in my age group, a little bit older, it is going to be a rude awakening, because I think listen, they say the pickings are slim when it comes to men. Okay, fine. But the men who do decide to work hard and become something, they are literally going to have their pick of the litter at the end of the day. Do you think women are going to be, especially in the future, do you think they're going to be open to sharing successful men? Because I'm starting to see this whole polygamy thing more and more and more and more now. Do you think women are going to be open to that? Let me ask you, J.I.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Absolutely. And what we have to understand is it's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. So people are in polygamy right now, even if they don't call it polygamy. There's a song, I forget who made it. She was like, you be Thursday through Friday, he'll be mine on the weekend. That's polygamy. Oh. See, they already are in these situations. He got 2 baby mamas and you the third. That's polygamy. It's just dysfunctional polygamy but that's polygamy. And they sign up knowing that he has these other baby mothers and think that he's going to be different for them. That's just dysfunctional polygamy. Now, will they ever sign up for functional polygamy? I don't think so. Not in large numbers, because again, people have to understand what relationships are. Relationships are are methods for survival in an environment. That's all a relationship is. We're going to work together, whether it's friend level, work level, romantic level. That's all a relationship is. How are we going to work together to achieve some kind of goal or to survive? They are not in a state where they have to adhere to rules. And polygamy, functional polygamy, will require them coming under the leadership of a man. They do not want to be under leadership. And they are in a position where they can get, quote unquote, all the fun and not have to do the work. So, yeah, I'm just going to sleep around and do whatever because I'm in a time where I'm not going to get a scarlet letter or be ostracized for hoeing. You know, we're in the age of WAP. So I'm going to do this because I want to, but I don't want to have to live and work together with them and take care of other kids and blah, blah, blah. I don't really want to do this to uplift the community. So it's just going to be dysfunctional, but they're polygamous now, whether they want to call it that or not.
All right. Polygamy. King Gene, do you think more women are going to be open to that as time goes on?
I do. But I think my take on it is a little bit different because of the sheer fact that there are more women than men, then either that's going to be the solution to the problem, or there's going to be quite a few women that choose to die alone. One of the two. But as far as like what J.I. was saying, the distaste for coming up under the authority of a man, I think that's at the heart of the problem. Because if more worked on how they view men, if they worked on being helpmates instead of being difficulties, I think that the outcome for a lot of women would change. I think it would. Not all women, because as we mentioned, there are more women than there are men. But looking at it from just a purely numerical standpoint, the odds are not in their favor. So polygamy may just be an option for them in the future because, like we mentioned, they outnumber us.
CKQ?
I think a lot of guys would have a hard time with that, to be honest with you.
I agree. I
don't think a lot of guys are as
durable.
Not even durable. It's no, not even durable. I mean, more like I would say more guys are not as I want to have a whole bunch of other women as much as women are okay with being with like a third or fourth woman to a one man. I don't think there's a lot of men that are want that option. I think a lot more men out here just kind of want one woman to live their life with. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think a lot of dudes are built for that. When you dealing with women and you dealing with their emotions and their hormones, you're dealing with 4 or 5 different personalities at one. I think it sound cool on TV. You know what I'm saying? I'm a player. I got 5, 6 women. A lot of these dudes just smashing these chicks, but they're not in a relationship with all 6 of these women. It's a difference between you smashing a bunch of random broads and then taking 6 women, having them live in your house. You know what I'm saying? Having them, do whatever. You got to deal with PMS. You got to deal with hormonal issues. You got to deal with them getting along, all that type of stuff. Not saying that it can't be done, but I really don't think a lot of dudes are built for that. And I don't know. I highly doubt it. But let me ask y'all one of the last questions. Are black men, the modern day black man, or black men, the modern day black men, are they marriage minded? Are black men more and more, especially of the millennial and Gen Z, are they straying away from marriage? What do you think, J.I., since you are a guest?
Yeah, absolutely. I think more black men are marriage minded than black women. And even though I am, hashtag no marriage, no cohabitation, because it's just a poor ROI in my opinion, most black women will tell you that they've been proposed to at some point along the way and they turned it down. And a lot of black women I've spoken to have admitted openly, yeah, looking back, I should have, blah, 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 I just wasn't ready, blah, blah, whatever. They give whatever excuse they give. But it's not that these men, even as messed up as the family court system, the divorce rate, all this foolishness, even with all this foolishness, men are still willing to marry these women, mostly because men are just taught to just fall on the sword and just man up and just blah, 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 blah. So I definitely believe that these men are still more than willing to marry these women. And if they did not want to marry these women, I don't think we would have all these conversations about relationships if men really didn't care. Because you know what men don't have these conversations about? They don't have conversations about what gay men are doing because men really don't care about that. But they have these relationship conversations because deep down, most men really do want a relationship with a woman. That's why any of the MGTOW, the SYSBM, all those, they will always be a small, I'll say less than 10% of any population, because it's something inborn in men in general that they want to have a woman and family. That's just what it is biologically. It's hard to overcome that.
Good point. Good point. Same question. CKQ, what do you think? Is the modern day black men, especially millennials, are they moving away from marriage? Are they marriage minded?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to second JI. I would say a lot of men in general still would want to be married. I think in this space, a lot with the red pill community, you hear, or like black, I don't even know which pill it is, but a lot of pills are kind of like, avoid marriage, da da da, X, Y, Z. And I think there's a lot more men that are still like, no, I still want to be with a woman. Like, I still want to be married to a woman. And I think a lot of guys still truly believe in building with a woman. It's just right now we don't know how to do it, and the laws aren't really in our favor. If we do decide to go through it and a woman decides to back out, everyone just high fives her and shits on the guy. So I would say a lot of guys are still in favor of it. They just don't know how to safely do it, how to safeguard themselves through it.
Okay.
And I would say, you can't really safeguard yourself from life, but when the laws are also against you, that's where it kind of gets sketchy. Like if it was kind of like both of us came in with equal amount of distrust on how this is going to work, but we still stuck through it together, then that's good. But it's like, if I'm coming with distrust, but she's coming with certainty, and then if she decides to back out, the law is on her side, I got screwed over.
Okay.
So
could you blame a man if he said he didn't want to get married?
No, absolutely not. I think it's screwed up because there's some times where like common law marriage, that's also a thing. Like where it's like, oh, you've been with this one person for X amount of time, even though you never proposed, you guys are now legally married. So those are also ways that it's kind of a guy can get finessed, but I can't blame men if they don't want to get married. I struggled with that for a bit of time. So
King Gene, same question, sir.
I was just reading something. My fault, brother. Well, I think fundamentally we, as men, we want to be married. We would like to have a family because we are concerned with our legacy quite a bit. So I think that comes into play. But as far as blaming young men for, shying away from it, I can't say that I do. Let me run something past you. The average age of divorce when it comes to men is 30 years old. So you're around 30, right?
Yeah.
At that particular time, the average savings for a young man of that age is $11,200. That's average. Okay, that's what he has in the bank. And the average cost of divorce, listen at this, is $12,900. So your savings, everything that you worked hard up until that point, has now been eliminated. And upon further research, you come to find out that most divorces range from $4,100 to $23,300.
Wow.
$23,300 has wiped this young man out. It's wiped him out. So I can't look across the table at someone, even though I am married, I can't look across the table at someone who decides that this is not the course that they want to take. Because like JR said, there is a questionable return on your investment. You put all this time and energy into building this relationship, and then when one person decides that there are irreconcilable differences, which I don't even know what that means, but irreconcilable differences is what they champion. They can cost you $23,300, and then they can take half of what you work to acquire. So it doesn't sound like anything that would be appealing. It doesn't. It doesn't sound like it. And so, but here's the thing for me. My concern when I married was at least trying to present to my family, my children, the correct way to go about things. Because now you have a balanced way of seeing how I interact with your mother and how she interacts with me. And so as you grow up, hopefully that's something that you can replicate successfully. If you can't, well, I gave it my best try. But gentlemen nowadays, no, they're not willing to take that chance. And I don't blame them. Because if you're entering into a situation and you have no surety, there's nothing that's telling you that this thing is going to last for the length of your life, then why do it? Why do it? So, like I said, I can't blame them.
Hey, can I say something else to that, CJ?
Yeah, go ahead. Add something.
People, I think, often forget that marriage is a social construct. All right. It serves a purpose in a society. It generally creates a family, which then creates a community, which then creates nations, blah, 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 blah. But when people talk of marriage today, they look at it and they conceptualize it through the marriage of old. And it's not anymore. We don't have the same moral fabric in this country as marriage before. We don't have the same religious beliefs as marriage before. We don't have the same legal standing as marriage of old. So when you say marriage, men and women are always going to be in relationships. It's just our nature. You have to be really, really disciplined to completely walk away and, go monk or whatever and just not deal with the opposite sex at all. That's most 95% of people not going to do that. So it's always going to be some form of relationships. But I think what we're going to see is marriage is going to evolve into something else where it's not going to look like it did before, but it may look like, these new, LAT couples, things like that, where you living apart together because, I can't trust you to, you're not going to take my house and my stuff or whatever. So we're going to be in a relationship, but you can't live with me. So and we ain't signing no paperwork. So I think you're going to see stuff like that. So people are always going to be in relationships, but that may be what marriage looks like down the line, something where men have to separate themselves in a way like never before, because in nature, there is no family court. There is no family court in nature coming to mess you up. There is none of these things. So all these changes that men make are further testaments to men's desire to have relationships, because these relationships are only treacherous to men. The law and everything is on women's side. And women, we have countless examples of women lying, using kids as weapons, blah, blah, blah. The court side with them, the police side with them. If a man like this, the baby thing, if the baby didn't record that and everybody see it live, she could have said anything to them folks. And even when she was looking for him throughout the house, they didn't even stop her. She could have went and got a weapon and killed the man. They just letting her go all throughout the house. We know that a man doing those same actions will be treated very different, especially a black man. So I think that marriage is going to evolve over time to look like something completely different from old. But again, it's a product of men protecting themselves and how far society has fallen in terms of legal equality between men and women. So I think that's what it's going to end up being.
That's y'all brought up some great points because I didn't even think about it like that. I feel like somebody has an echo. Let me see. Is that me? Let me see. It's not now. Okay. I think a lot of men are going away from or striving away from marriage or steering away from marriage from a legal standpoint. I understand it. I definitely understand it. And I feel like whatever y'all do will make y'all happy, then y'all should continue to do so. I honestly, if a young man, 14, 15, 16 years old, came up to me and said, would it be in my best interest to get married? I couldn't tell him with a straight face, yes. I like straight up, yes. I was just, and I hate that it's like that, but I will have to keep it real, especially if it was like my son or if I had a nephew or something like that. I would say you have to assess the situation to the best of your abilities. There are people who've never been married and who are in wonderful relationships. Been married been together years with no issues. There are people who've been married 30 years and are miserable, who was just waiting for the other person to die, and vice versa. So, but with the laws being what they are,
Here's another lie that they tell these young men. Unfortunately, they tell these men you got to vet these women. Okay, here's why this is a lie. This whole vetting women, you got to pick a good woman, blah 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 blah. It has nothing to do with the women. You know why divorce rates, whatever, were so much lower back in the day? It wasn't because these men were vetting these women. That's not what it was at all. It's because the legal system did not back their bad behavior. When you have a legal system that backs this, it doesn't matter what you do individually. This is a systematic governmental issue. Doesn't matter if I vet this girl for 4 years. The moment she decides, you know what, irreconcilable differences, I'm going, and can just take my stuff. That is a legal issue. That has nothing to do with the woman. That has nothing to do with the woman. That is a legal standpoint issue where we live in a country where the law will back her, strip me of my children, put me on child support, blah, 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 and just do what's in the best favor of her because the government has its own agenda to push. I'm not going to get into that right now. But that is a legal thing. It's not about vetting a woman or doing whatever with it. That has nothing to do with it. It is about the legal structure that will allow and enforce her behavior and enable her to do these things. And men don't talk about it from that standpoint. You didn't choose better. You got to choose. It has nothing to do with her. It has not, because she has nothing to do with family court. That is a legal thing. And men have to start understanding that, because the issue is systematic from a governmental legal standpoint. Has nothing to do with these women. Women will only do what the men around them allow. That's been the same all throughout history. It's going to be the same to the end of time. But until men address this from a legal standpoint and stop telling men silly things like, oh, you just got to vet women better. You just got to pick a better one. That's insanity. That's insanity.
Yeah, you know what? I just sent a message to Anton Daniels because he is on a total opposite end of the spectrum, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to hear y'all do a back and forth, because I've seen him talk about it, but anyway, he didn't probably sleep or something. But that's a good. I'm gonna have to have you, Jay. I'm gonna have to get your information so we can come back and continue on this topic. But I do want y'all to check that comment out. I think that comment right there speaks volumes about the current state of family court, the system. The comment says, a wise man once said, never sign a contract with someone who gets paid to break it. Now, King Gene, as a man who's married and seeing statements like this, how does that make you feel? Or was that even something you ever thought about before you decided to get married?
I'm gonna tell you something. That wasn't my thought pattern or process, before I got married. I got to be honest with you. And as the brother mentioned there in the comment, that's absolutely true, because all of the incentives don't lie in keeping your marriage intact. The incentives lie in shattering your home and putting your husband in a position where he could potentially lose everything that he has. That's where the incentives come in. So I think it's a powerful statement. But I'll be honest with you now. Married, yes, I am married, but presently separated. So all these things that we're talking about tonight, I'm paying child support. I'm doing the whole nine. So when you're talking about this particular issue, I'm kind of passionate about it, because when JR was talking about the laws that are in place that impose a burden upon men, for that I've seen it. I've had to fight through it, and so like I said, there are no incentives anymore to maintaining your family. If you're married, there are no incentives for that. All of the incentives come after you taking the initiative to dissolve it. Now all of a sudden, here all this funding from the government, here all these things that are set in place to make sure that the wife is okay at the expense of the husband. Now, does that sound like I'm triggered? Maybe so, and maybe I am.
But I think it's important to get your point of view. And I'm asking one of the sisters if they like, because I know Japrice asked the question, and I'm asking her if she want to come on to chime in. Because I think it would, and even though it's a man's panel, we've been going for about 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. I think
Anna asked a question too.
Anna?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
How do we as a culture get black men back on board with marriage?
Oh shit. That's a okay.
I have a question. Do y'all agree with me that men should have financial abortion rights?
That's a good question.
Because that's something that I champion on YouTube.
Okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna answer that, but I want to answer these ladies' questions. Don't forget that, JR. But let me get to Japrice. She said, one of my questions from a man point of view is, if you had or have children, which gender do you think is the scariest to raise in today's world or society?
Girl. I think in any society, raising a girl is always going to be a scarier one. You're never going to stop worrying about your little girl.
I don't know. And the reason why I said I don't know about that one is because, and I'll tread carefully here, but being of the ethnic group that I am, and my son would have to be of the ethnic group that I am. And at this particular time in society, that's dangerous right out of the gate. We've seen individuals get gunned down for going to get a bag of Skittles. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that, but I'm just saying the atmosphere that exists in society now towards the young man, and I go back to it again, even the Monahan report talks about that, how it is that as far as education and every other metric that society gauges children, young black boys are behind. So I would be afraid for my son. I'd be afraid for him, because the society that we live in, as JI has already commented on, there are a lot of things that are in place to facilitate this ecosystem that women are living in, where they don't need a lot of things, and the things that we think they would need, they would gladly trade off so that they won't have to come up under the leadership or the headship of a man. So they have things in place to support them. But my son, he'd have to get it out of the mud. And not to mention that in his attempt to get it out of the mud, he would also have to battle with trying to maintain his proper mental state. We don't talk about that either. As men, we don't. But he would have to be fighting and juggling all of these things at one time. So I'd really be worried about him because here's the thing. Go ahead, my brother.
Here's why I want to push back on that a little bit. Here's why I want to say a daughter, because for a son, yes, the world is going to make it hard for him, but struggles make you stronger as a person. Now, if the world is doing all it can to make it very easy for a woman to make poor decisions, I'm going to have to drill into her to make the right decisions. Drill every single day. I'm going to have to, me and her mother are going to have to be on top of that. Drill it into her. These are the steps you should be taking. But you got to remember, there's a whole school, a whole curriculum, media, everything completely steering her in the wrong and god awful direction. And that doesn't just stop like at age 25 or something. That's throughout her whole life. There's women that later in their life that they turn around and they're like, oh man, I kind of regret my decisions. But not like it's definitely gonna be harder raising a girl. I see it because having to constantly work on their mindset is gonna be the hardest part. For a boy, you work on his mindset, listen, the world is against you. Once he understands the world's against me, he'll understand how to move accordingly. He'll understand how to take care of himself. He'll understand that, listen, I have my parents, but I'm going to have to get it out the mud myself. No one's going to help me out. It's going to make him a tougher man. It's going to make him a better man. A woman, on the other hand, there's nothing in the world that's going to be making her a better woman.
I'm going to say I have to agree with King Gene on this one, especially with the whole, and I see where you're coming from, CKQ, but I'm going to agree with King Gene because when it comes to raising, because she said son, but I mean, we took it at the racial standpoint as a black son, raising a black son in this climate. I think it is. I will be more worried. You know what I'm saying? Because I know there are things in place, and not saying that it's not dangerous for a black woman, but when you can weaken a society's men, you can take over their society. And in my personal opinion, there is a personal attack, a systemic attack on men, especially black men, with the feminization of black men, from all kind of standpoints. And I would be very worried, especially raising a masculine, if my son is a masculine, heterosexual black man, I would be extremely worried. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just everything black masculinity touches, people try to make it toxic. You know what I'm saying? So I probably would be more so worried. Of course, you're going to worry about your daughter, though. You're going to worry about your daughter. You're going to make sure she's good. You're going to protect her. Not saying that you're not going to give your son the tools to be out here and be a successful man. But I know as a black man, the target is really on his back because we've seen several cases of even black boys, Tamir Rice, be shot and killed unjustly and people go free. I can only imagine what his parents think or how they feeling right now, but that's my opinion. J.I., what do you think? And then we're going to get to the next question Anna asks, and then we're going to go to J.I.'s question. What do you think, though? What do you think it'll be harder to raise?
Most definitely, it'll be worse to have a boy. Listen, women today literally have no accountability. Even when they fail, they spin it away to make it a man's fault. A woman can get pregnant by a bum and try to blame the bum. There's no account. Even though they preach this lie of equality, a woman may get pregnant on accident, but she having that baby on purpose. And she has all the resources. Even though she allowed it to happen, she gets all the help in that situation. A woman can have sex drunk, and a guy's drunk, and the man will get in trouble for it, even though they were both drunk. Women in today's society literally can just lie on a man, and the man's life is ruined. There's countless examples of it. They got the Me Too movement. There's no inherent danger just being a woman Today it's been stripped away, but men are still held to a standard, even though we're told we're the same. It's a lie. Even though we're told that it's supposedly equality, we're not held to the same standard. Boys, on the other hand, they're looking for, and at the end of the day, even if a bitch falls down bad, she can always lay up with a man. If a woman is homeless, it's because she don't want to come under the headship of a man. Let's just be real. From pretty women to ugly women, a woman can lay up with a man, and they have countless offers in their DMs. They don't ever have to be, even without government assistance. It's a man that'll take a woman in if she's willing to play her part. That's just what it is. That's how nature designed it. So when a woman is in trouble, she can always turn to a man. Even if your daughter is married, if they fell on hard times, you wouldn't even look at your daughter. You would look at that man, her husband, and be like, why do you have my daughter messed up? Everything falls on the man. Everything. But at the same time, the man is giving the least bit of resources, and he's told, like the brother said about the mental health, men are told to just suck it up. Because at the end of the day, men are expected to get the job done. We don't get to have postpartum depression. We don't get to have this nonsense. We don't get to have these fears. We got to go make it happen.
Or you could have it.
It could be a man didn't even want no child. He's called a deadbeat. He didn't even want the kid, but he a deadbeat. Everything is on the man. Everything in society, always on the man. So definitely, is definitely scary to raise a man. A woman's always going to have a safety net. That's just the way it is.
All right. Anna asks, how do we as a culture get black men back on board with marriage? I know men who are firm on both sides. It saddens me, especially being raised in a home with married parents. I think if you change the laws, that's one way.
The laws would be huge. I think women also just being more pleasant, to be honest with you. It's not so much like women need to start coming and begging men, but women just being pleasant, being a little bit more approachable. Men aren't hard. Like men aren't pause. Men aren't difficult to deal with. Like men aren't difficult to deal with. Like a lot of men just kind of want someone nice and pleasant and understanding. And most women just don't want to be that. They almost pride themselves in not being the opposite of that. Not all, but right now it's championed to be combative. So,
do you think, I'm gonna ask this to y'all, do y'all think women would still get married if they knew there was really no incentive behind it? No protection, no nothing. You walk in with what you came out with. Do you think women would get married, or do you think marriage rates would drop drastically?
Personally, I don't think they would. I don't think they would because I'm going back to, because I think it was poignant. Something that JR said, it's not a necessity now. There are so many things that they can get that they don't need their counterparts for. And the things that they can't get, that they do need their counterparts for, they'll gladly go without them just to be free of the headship. So I think if you took alimony out of the picture, if you took the prospect of walking away with half of what your husband worked to achieve, if you took away the fact that the children automatically go with the mother, if you took away all of those factors, like you said, those incentives, then there would be no reason to enter into this contract other than if you came in good faith.
Ladies, I would love for one of you married women to call up and speak on that. Got a little bit of time left. If you want, Japrice, I know you married. You should call in and speak on that. Would women still be inclined to get married if there was really no real safety net for them after the marriage? JI, what do you think?
Absolutely not. We got to remember what behavior is. And we speak from things as black people because we black. But the reality is all human beings are the same. And they're the same in this. All behavior is a product of the consequences. All behavior. So if you take away whatever you came in with, that's what you leave with. You can't have none of his stuff. If your name ain't on it, you can't take it. and the kids automatic 50-50, no child support, women be like, nah, because now I gotta serve this man, come under his headship, and I don't even get the bag in the end. No. And we are underestimating the fact that these women are free. And to a degree, it's not even, their fault. It's human nature. So since they are in a point, it's like children. If you gave children the option, they don't want to do what their parents say. They want to eat candy all day. So if you told kids, hey, you don't have to do what your parents say, you can come over here. They gonna go over there and eat cake and candy and whatever. Now later on, when their teeth are rotten and they done missed school and now they stupid, but when they grow up later on, they'll see the error of their ways. But in the midst of the chaos, given the choice, it'll be very few, maybe 1 out of 10 children would choose to obey their parents and go to bed at a certain time when all their friends playing, and eat vegetables when all their friends eating cake and candy, and get a whooping when they act up, when they friends don't get no whooping. It'll be maybe 1 child out of 10 would choose it, but that's not human nature. Human nature is to get the most while suffering the least. That's human nature. So as long as they are able and kept from the consequences of their actions in the immediate, they'll push it and ride it all on out. So no, they're not going to want to get married, especially once these incentives are gone, because what's in it for them? No, they free.
Okay. We got one of my favorite people in the podcast land pulling up.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, Japrice?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
What's cracking?
Nothing. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Doing well. Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead. You was asking some questions in the comments. I think the fellas will be more than happy to answer. Go ahead.
That's the only question that I kind of remember, but I followed up with the reason why I asked that question, because in today's society, men are often looked at as the bad guy, and women are always quote unquote under attack, especially in a marriage. And then following what you said, CJ, that you would suggest to a young boy that marriage isn't the way to go because of men getting the bad end of the deal.
No. I said that he has to assess the situation carefully. I didn't say that you should not get married, but I did say that I can't sit up here with a straight face and tell him that is the right thing to do. But yeah, I say he should very much assess the situation properly. But go ahead.
Oh no, that was the only question that I remembered. And I have one. Okay, I did remember the question. I did write it down in the comments. Okay, so I said, do you believe that these kind of talks, like with the start of Kevin Samuels and these type of talks, do you believe that these kind of talks are turning into the dislike of women, or making men more careful? Because I hear a lot of women on Facebook. I see a lot of women on Facebook commenting, saying making statuses about. Conversations like these are making men hate women, and how they say all this misogynist or whatever the case may be. And I try to let them know, no, I just believe that just makes men a little more careful in who they choose. But they believe opposite. So I just wanted to get you guys' input on that, because I have heard some men say a lot of them don't want to get married anymore because it's not in their favor and stuff like that.
Well, me personally, I think that I think personally, I don't think these conversations are making men hate women. I think if you hate women, that's just something that's in you. I mean, I don't think a conversation can sway that. But I do think these conversations are making men more aware of who they are choosing and aware of what kind of woman they are selecting. Now, you're going to have some who just take the conversation and claim to be something that they're not and try to use Kevin Samuels talking points to try to shame chicks. We're not worried about them. But I do think brothers are becoming more aware and starting to wake up and work harder. And I'm going to let the fellas answer the rest of the questions, but I wanted to ask you, Japrice, do you think women would be so inclined to get married if they had none of the set aside. So remember that question, and go ahead, fellas. Y'all can answer Japrice's question.
Well, I think it's like you said. No, I don't think that. Well, I can speak personally for the discussions that we have. We are not advocating that men hate women. That's as a matter of fact, I think that this is an act of love. Yeah. I think so, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to educate our brothers in a way to help them so that whatever it is they choose, they can enter into it fully informed. And I think that's the best thing you can do for anybody, Japri. Help them to be fully informed. So when they make a decision, then they know what the possible outcomes could be. And then if they know what the outcomes are, then they can prepare themselves accordingly. So I don't think it's about hating women. I think it's about being prepared. And in any situation, the more you prepare, then more likely you'll have a positive outcome. Just my thoughts now.
All right, CKQ, what do you think?
Honestly, yes, I do believe that. I do believe these kinds of talks are swaying men into hating women a little bit. I want to say, when I was listening to a lot more of like the red pill content, I found a period of time where I was becoming a little bit more jaded towards women. And it wasn't necessarily anything I went through with women. It was just hearing a lot of these things over and over. It was just kind of like I internalized a lot of what I was hearing. Because I'd see like snippets of it and like, oh, I think I went through this. Oh, I think I went through that. Oh, I saw this person go through it. So it must mean that all women are like this. And I started doing a lot more of the all, a lot more. Even though I would say to myself, oh, it's not all women, but I internalized all women are this way. So yeah, I think these talks, when you're speaking to someone that can decipher the difference, when you're speaking to someone that is like, it can make men that haven't had positive experiences with women very jaded towards women. It's not going to make all men, but it's going to make the ones that have negative experiences, it's going to exacerbate that. Yeah. That's the best way to say it.
Okay. JR.
Absolutely not. And it's funny that when women had all the time on talk shows and stuff and trashing men, it was never talked about like they hate men. Men should just reject this whole type of thing flat out. All this is doing is educating men who are green about these types of things, who are really going to go into these things thinking it's one way, and finding out on the other end that it is not that way. That is not how this stuff goes. If somebody hates women, then that's already in them. Whether they don't need YouTube for that. People have been quote unquote, hating people all throughout time. Before the internet, that ain't got nothing to do with these conversations. This is just an online, pretty much a digital barbershop where men can collectively share their thoughts, and the men in these spaces don't even all agree. So no, this is definitely not any promotion of hatred of women or anything. This is just men being able to talk to other men candidly and give honest answers about what's going on in real life, dealing with these situations as it concerns marriage, relationships, the law, dealing with these women from a purely male perspective. That's it. But it's got nothing to do with pushing any kind of hate. And if anybody thinks that YouTube is going to change society or whatever, those people are delusional.
Can I also drop one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, what women might also see that they say like, oh, men are getting angry. That's also red pill rage. That's what they call that. Like where it's kind of like you're coming to an understanding that like women aren't all sunshine and rainbows. Like you were told that they were. Like women are hypergamous. Like they're not gonna go for you because you're a nice guy. They're most likely gonna go for that guy. So he's got swag and he's tall and he's got money. And for guys that are behind on the 8 ball on that, yeah, it's gonna make them very angry. So I would say that's probably where some of the anger is seen. So it's probably seen as this talk is making them angry, but it's not necessarily the talk, but it's more like the understanding of what is.
But now here's one thing for me too, and I can't really speak I know for a certainty the men on this panel, the brothers who I've been exposed to, every vlog, every conversation that you all have had, every group of panelists that you all have, you're trying to push something positive. But now, for me, when I hear the notion that hatred can come out of positivity, the two don't because here's my thing. On my particular podcast, I push for manhood, positive masculinity. I push for being intentional and deliberate about the decisions that you make so that your future can be the best that it possibly can be. Is there a section in there that revolves around relationships with the opposite sex? Absolutely. Because if you decide to make that choice, that's a major choice, right? But as I mentioned before, the information that I'm trying to convey to the audience is not one that should make anybody hate women. But what I'm trying to convey is this is what you need to know to be prepared. I want you to be ready. So whatever you choose, you'll be okay. And I think that's coming from a place of love. So I just don't understand how anyone could interpret that as a need to foster hatred when it's coming from a place of love. So I don't know.
You know, there's something that CKQ said about this whole red pill space. That's why I like Kevin Samuel so much, because he preaches men putting in the actual work. A lot of these guys in the red pill spaces, especially when I look towards the white manosphere or whatever you want to call it, it's just they totally blame women. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. I think you have to work on yourself. And that's one thing I do like about Kevin Samuels, because he talked about the incels and the guys who have all this quote unquote red pill rate. That's why I don't really subscribe to the whole red pill thing. Like, yeah, I get some of the stuff they're saying, but a lot of them just seem like angry men with no fathers. And I get that. Bingo. And I truly understand that. But at the same time, in a lot of those spaces, I never hear them talk about, okay, well, you have to get you together to become the best version of you. Forget women. Now I hear, people like AMS. I hear him say that. Steph is cold. I hear him say that. I hear people like Anton and Kevin Samuel. Yeah. I hear them say that kind of stuff. But when I was listening to some other ones, I'm like, this borderline gay to me. You know what I'm saying? But like, and I'm not saying that disparagingly, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it was sounding like, because the purpose.
Can you give an example of one?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, can you give an example of a content creator that you felt that way about?
Context.
When I was listening to Rollo Tomasi, and I didn't like, it sounded like he was so angry to the point, like, okay, so Rollo Tomasi, he was reviewing a video that Fresh and Fit did with Mike Rashid. Mike Rashid is an individual man who put in the work. He works out. He's a self-made millionaire. And he goes, well, of course. Well, Mike's not going to have a problem with women because he's genetically gifted and all that kind of stuff. Mike wasn't born like that. He was not born like that.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. And that whole conversation, the reason why he was going at Mike like that was because Mike was the guy that was always getting women. Always.
But Mike still had to put in work, though. He wasn't.
No. I'm saying before he was Mike Rashid that we see, like they were talking all the way back in high school. Before he was that Mike Rashid, he was saying he was a very skinny guy. He had to put in the work.
Right.
But all the time while he was doing that, which is where I will say, to your point, all the time while he was doing that, he was still saying, he was still going out. He was still, talking to women and da-da-da. He was genetically gifted, though. Like he was a handsome guy, just not as, he wasn't Mike Rashid that we know now. He was still just a handsome guy, just tall, skinny, lanky, handsome guy. So I agree with you, but that's where that was coming from.
Let me break down the pill thing.
Okay, wait, hold on before you do, and that's why that was my whole issue with this whole red pill thing. And Japrise, I don't mean to go on a tangent far away from your question, but like he was like, it was just the way it looked like jealousy when he was watching it. Well, you can clearly see who the alpha is in this room, and Mike is just gifted and all that kind of stuff. Regardless, because it's skinny dudes who don't pull chicks either. If anybody watched FitX Fearless, he was a skinny dude, a short, skinny dude, worked on his body, got his money together, and now look at him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, confidence comes with putting in the work. And that is my biggest problem with with that whole red pill space. Like, okay, we get it. Women are how they are. What are we gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? And that's why I dig Kevin Samuels and the rest of them dudes that I just mentioned, because I'm like, bruh, like, okay, so what? He may be a better whatever. He still said he had to put in the work. Okay, he put in the work and he's very good at what he does. Now he bangs all the chicks he wants. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't like these fresh and fraud dudes, because clearly they lie. Clearly. So go ahead, J.I. Before I go off on a tangent.
Yeah, let me break down the pill thing. So people get all these games all twisted up. Blue pill, all blue pill is, all these pills are ideologies. That's number one. Blue pill refers to people that are ignorant to how the world really works. All red pill means is that you know that women aren't sugar and spice and everything nice. You're aware of the inequities in the law regarding men and women, et cetera, et cetera. That's all red pill is. It's just the knowledge of that. The red pill rage that the brother referred to is when people get that wake up call. You know, when they woman that they thought they was gonna spend the rest of their life with, you know, cheats with their best friend, they catch them. When they get a divorce and they get rammed in court and they're like, wait a minute, I've always been a good father. Why am I being treated like this? You know, whatever their red pill moment is, however they get there, that awakening, that's what the rage is. Then you got black pill and all these other things, but all they are ideologies. What people choose to do with that ideology is, red pill isn't an action. Red pill isn't doing something. It's just knowing something. So whatever you choose to do with that knowledge is up to you. So I don't deal with the road to my, I've heard his name, but I don't deal with the white manosphere. I only deal with the black manosphere and only some of the people in the black manosphere, quote unquote. And I only gravitate towards that because it's black men talking about black issues. I don't care about all this other stuff.
I agree with that. And the black men, yeah, and I agree with you on that. And I'm not saying everybody in the white manosphere just be talking junk. Like, I've listened to Richard Cooper before. Richard Cooper says some good information and some decent information. So I've listened to them, but all that whole okay, once you take the red pill, you become aware. Now what? It's a lot of dudes who just sit there and just be like, well, women this and women that. What are you going to do to increase your chances of getting the woman that you want, if that's the tip that you want?
I think Kevin Samuels speaks on that a lot, actually.
Right. So if you know most women don't like fat dudes, and you still sitting there 2 years after taking the red pill, and you still a fat ass with no woman, whose fault is that? Okay, so now you are aware of what women like and how they are, and they hypergamous. You play the game. You got the cheat code, you know the rules. Now go apply yourself. Nah, because that's hard work. And that's my issue. Now it's white pill and black pill and all that stupid shit. And I'm just like, okay, it's too much. You know what I'm saying? It's too much now. Like, I'm digging.
All these things just refer to different ideologies.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just the action. We can talk ideology all day, but with no action, it's really meaningless. It means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can sit here and tell J.I. that I want to be a millionaire all day, but if I sit on my butt all day and do nothing, it's just talking. So, Japrise, can you answer my question? Somebody echoing in the background?
I think it sounds like it's coming from J.I.
Oh, okay. Japrise, can you answer my question? I wanted to know, do you think women will get married if they knew there were really no incentives for them, no protection? What do you think about that?
Mm, I don't. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because, I mean, it's kind of hard to answer, um, because that's pretty much what marriage was or is for centuries since Adam and Eve. I would say maybe in 2021. I don't think so because it's so easy for a woman to be like independent, but then by nature we still need men. Um, I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't really answer the question that well, but honestly, with the new ideology now, I would say no. A woman with these new concepts, I would say no. Especially if she's not like traditional, then I would say no. Because you don't even need a man to have a baby. I mean, you need a man's um, you know, genetics or whatever, juice or whatever to have a baby.
Juice.
But you could just go to the bank, to the to the juice bank and have a baby. So I mean, no. I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, yeah. Well, um, man, it's been a great panel. I really appreciate y'all coming on. Do y'all have 10 minutes? 10 extra minutes, or do y'all gotta go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Japrice, I know these is your boys. And I said I wasn't gonna talk about it. But I gotta my spirit won't rest until I talk about it. Plus, I know these is your boys. You know what I'm saying? Especially Fresh. Which I can't, he is the worst. What's
Oh wait,
up with-
CJ, don't forget my question too.
Oh yeah. See, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Do y'all agree, if a woman gets pregnant, after she's pregnant, she can have an abortion? I believe that men, after a woman's pregnant, if he wanted no parts of her, she would just jump off for any reason, should be able to have a financial abortion, meaning he can't be put on child support or held responsible in any way. Now, this means the woman, she can still have an abortion if she wants to, or she can keep it. She still has full control of her body, but it gives men a choice after pregnancy, just like women have a choice after pregnancy. So do you all agree that men should have financial abortion rights?
Absolutely. That's fair.
100%.
If
Absolutely.
she can, yeah.
110%.
Not to the baby's best interest, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that.
What do you think, Japri? Should
I
men
tot-
have
I totally
financial
agree.
abortion rights?
I agree.
Mm.
Totally agree.
I tell you what, birth rates.
Why don't you agree?
She do agree. She said she did agree.
Oh, she said she does? Oh, perfect.
Yeah. She agreed. And I feel like the birth rates would probably tank.
They would. They would. Mm-hmm. Because think about it. And then you know what? Just to go a little bit further with that simple thought. If we were able to have those financial abortions, right? Then you would see society push the need for women to be more careful and men to be more careful about producing children, because if she decided to go ahead and have that child after the father had the financial abortion, then that means that now society has to take care of their child. And one thing
that's a welfare reform issue. We should remove welfare.
Well,
we should remove welfare, and if they choose to have a kid, they should treat them like they treat the men. If she can't afford the kid, get a kid to the state, make the woman pay the state child support. If she can't pay the state child support, put her in prison like you would do for a man.
All right. All right. Because as a brother paying child support right now for my two girls, I'm in total agreement, man. It's a system that's designed and it doesn't have the best interest of the child in mind. That's not what it's about. Because tell me something. How is it beneficial for me to take these funds and put them in the hands of the mother, and then because now I'm paying child support for 2 children. One of the children is next door in the other room.
Oh man,
she's with me. So when JR talks about that, man, I'm fully on board with it. I'm fully on board with it. Cause listen, and then there's no evidence that the child support that's being paid is used on the children anyway. There's no evidence of that. Okay, when I still have my children calling me for things that they need, and I'm paying child support. Come on, man. Y'all don't want me to get started. Y'all want me
I'm ready for you to go off, King Gene.
No, not tonight, man. I had a good night, bro.
Oh man, yeah, I agree with that. 100%. I think it definitely should. The child support system is crazy. I mean, I don't pay child support, but yeah, it's wild. It's wild. What do you think, CKQ?
I mean, child support. A lot of divorces honestly can be handled between the two people. It's when someone gets bitter. That's when really like finances get screwed up. A lot of time it's when the woman gets bitter. Because if a man gets bitter, he leaves. He's not going to try to blow up the home. He literally he leaves and goes sleep on the couch somewhere at a friend's house or something. But usually, like when a woman gets bitter, it's like, what is it? What's that saying? Hell has no scorn like a woman's wrath.
Hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn.
Yeah, hell has no fury like a woman's scorn. Yeah, and yeah, that really bleeds true to like the time that we're in now. A lot of the times, irreconcilable differences. What the hell does that even mean? A lot of times, women are divorcing men off of my mom left my dad off of the same exact BS. Even now, like now that I'm older, I can actually speak to her like a grown man. I even tell her and she knows my exact way on how I view the divorce, which was it was BS. It didn't need to happen. Obviously, there's a lot more going on behind that, and we talk about it like adults. And she knows I don't agree with it. I'm happy that she's happy, but I don't agree with the decision that she made. And I think a lot of times women react too quickly to a lot of these things without thinking of the long-term ramifications of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know how many systems would lose money if men were allowed to do financial abortions? The family court system would lose money. The medical system would lose money because of people probably not having as many babies anymore. Planned Parenthood would probably lose a lot of money. I mean, just lawyers would lose money. The judges would lose money. So I was just sitting there thinking about it like, they'll never allow that to happen. And it's so crazy because a woman can just simply accuse you of being her baby daddy, and you have to go subject to a paternity test.
You do?
And I might, and I could, even if I ain't even touch her, she can just simply say, CJ is my baby daddy. And she got to inconvenience me. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. What was you about to say, JR?
But listen to what you just said. You said they'll never let that happen. Men, we can make anything happen. I have a petition for this on change.org for men to have financial abortion. I debated a lot on YouTube, on different channels. Point is, men have to get into this mindset that we can make this happen. Because guess what? Roe v. Wade, women didn't have abortion rights until Roe v. Wade. One thing I will give to women, that even though women are in a weaker position to men, physically all throughout history, women will band together and they'll say, we're going to work together to get what we want. And they will band together, unify, and say, this is good for women, so we're going to stand by this. And they will legislate to vote to whatever to get it done. Men, we could get this done. We could say, you know what, this is unfair. Women have abortion rights. That's cool. Their body, their choice, fine. But men deserve that same right. And it's unfair that men don't have that right because it affects our lives as well. So give us the financial right. And if enough men lobby around it, and one thing I will give to the LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of them, they rally behind their issues and they fight for what they want. Now think about this. It's way more men than there are LGBT, elemental P, XYZ. It's way more men, but we don't feel we could get this passed when this affects so many men. But they feel confident enough to walk in their truth, quote unquote, whatever it is that they doing. So I respect that they are willing to politically organize around their issues. And until men decide to do the same for our rights, then we're going to continue getting treated as second-class citizens. But men are going to have to be the one to change this, and we can do it.
That's what's up, man. I definitely agree with that. I think too many men just think with they Johnsons, man, and a lot of simping going on. But you're right though, because there are a small minority, and that is one thing I do respect about the LGBT myself, is that they will organize to get it done. Obama said he wanted for gay marriage. They came with a $10 million check, and he started changing his tune very quickly. So, yeah, and I'm gonna be brief on this. Japrice, are you still a fan? Are you still a fan of Fresh and Fit?
Okay, hold on. Before I answer that question, I just wanted to make a small comment, if I may.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So like speaking on the child support, just like from my experience, so I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I think most of you guys know that, and my husband works, and his what do you call it? Health insurance monthly payment went up since we have a child. So I remember trying to apply for Medi-Cal because I don't have an income, I stay home. I remember trying to apply for Medi-Cal. I filled it out, and then I was like, I shouldn't tell them that I'm married. I should tell them that I'm separated. So I filled it out, and I told the lady that, okay, yes, I'm married, but we're separated. He's in another country. She's like, okay, I can apply. I can, how do you call it? I could get awarded Medi-Cal, but I have to fill out child support papers. I have to pretty much put my separated husband on child support. I'm like, okay, so I took the papers. I was like, okay, sure. I took the papers home, and I was like, what the heck? It had all this information. I was like, okay, no, I cannot do this. I was even thinking about putting his like a wrong name. I'm like, okay, no. And my husband's like, yeah, don't do it. So then I went back to another because we have like different county buildings. I went in a different county building. I applied there, and I said, okay, no, I am married. And then they said, okay, how much does your husband make? And I had to put how much you make, and blah, blah, blah. And okay, you don't, so I didn't why am I missing the word? I didn't get, okay, there it is. I didn't qualify for it. So that even was like, so I guess even the child support, the financial abortion, and the government, because I have a cousin who didn't volunteer to put her baby daddy, whatever, on child support, but in order for her to get government assistance, she had to put him on child support. So that was just a little something of like the government too. I feel as though maybe they play a part in it as well. But the financial abortion would definitely kind of help with the whole having a baby. But yeah, that kind of freaked me out with the whole. Also, then we just had to figure out, you had to just pay that much money, because it costs like $7,000 to actually deliver a baby. Once your baby's done, I go to Kaiser. It's $7,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty expensive.
Whoo! We'll be going to the Dominican Republic or something. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Okay, all right. But so for
That's
the last,
crazy.
that is wild.
They're enticing you by, like, if this guy's not even making money, it's kind of like, okay, well, you're gonna have to put him on child support. Like, damn,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, and my husband makes average money, and she's like, well, if he wasn't in the home, it would be better because his parents in the home. So that it was something, we had to talk about, and it was just sucks that I had to fill the child support. Just because we're separate, I had to put him on child support pretty much.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, fellas, yeah. Well, get your $7,000 ready. If you want to have some kids. But Japrice, are you still a fan of Fresh and Fit after the repeated exposing of those two individuals?
I haven't watched them in a while. I only like them because I was watching them for like a long time. Like before Kevin Samuels, I was watching them.
Fresh literally got exposed for messing with a chick on the Sugar Baby website.
Well, yeah, they're upfront about sugar babies and paying women because at the end of the day, all men pay for women.
No, but they
It's a
speak
trade-off.
against that though. They speak against deliberate tricking, and that's exactly what they do. And she didn't even want to kiss him. Like, he's an idiot.
Okay.
Like, did y'all see that? Clement, King Gene, J.I. I don't know if you watched them or not, but did y'all see that?
Nah, what happened?
No, sir.
No, I didn't see it. But this is just what happens when people make these YouTube people their god. You shouldn't be no grown man looking to these people for anything beyond entertainment. These people have real lives. They it's a business. They doing this to make money. If you're looking for guidance from strangers on the internet, you already lost in the sauce. So people shouldn't even be surprised at this stuff. These politicians is lying. All these people lying. If you look into people, you don't want to get to look into people personal lives. You don't want to do that. That's why they had that saying, "Never meet your heroes," because these people are people. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's a little weird though. Like, I don't know. I don't think you could say like don't look for outside sources for guidance though. I think they played themselves well to be like people to look at.
If you a grown man looking to a stranger on the internet for guidance, you messed up. You already lost.
So you don't think someone like,
and you lost.
Do you know someone like Anton Daniels?
I watched the Lil Peep show.
Yeah. So someone like him, going to someone like him for advice on how to run a business, you think that's a bad idea? You think that's a fool's game?
If you're going to somebody for business advice, if you're going to a business person for business advice, something like a consultation or something like that, no, I wouldn't call that foolish. But if you look into people, if you're looking to strangers for how to really live your life on a personal level, see, that's business. Once you start talking about personal level, how to live your life, now I think you're foolish. Because if I need help with plumbing, I'm gonna call a plumber. That's a professional in that area. If I need my taxes done, I'm gonna go to an accountant. That's a professional in that area. But these people are looking for life advice as to how to be men. That is not something you need to be looking to strangers for on the internet. It's not even comparable. It's not the same thing. If I go through a divorce, I'm gonna go get a lawyer. That's a professional in that area. I'm not gonna go to somebody saying, "Hey, how can I be a man? Make me better with what?" To me, that's, you already lost for that. I don't know any man doing that. That's weird to me.
I think
that's just me.
I think when you take people and, like you said, and you make them your heroes and your guys, like they can't do no wrong, that's one thing. But I think you can take advice, or you can relate to something, if you feel like the person is relatable. Like Kevin Samuels says a lot of stuff that I can relate to. I know he's a man just like me. I know he's probably not perfect. I know he probably does a lot of things that I disagree with, but the things that I do agree with, I take from it and I apply it. And if it works for me, it doesn't. And if it does, if it does, it does. So yeah. I think you take it. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, because somebody could say, well, you know what? I'm digging what J.I. talking about. I'm loving what he's talking about. Let me take what he says and apply it. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean they're going to make you his God or make you their God or whatever. So I think you just got to be careful where you pick up information from. But that is another reason why having fathers is very important. Like, my dad was around. My dad gave me a lot of advice. And I think that's probably why I didn't have the issues that I saw a lot of those brothers in the video with Ayanla having with black women. I mean, because my dad always gave me solid advice about women and everything like that. So I never really had an issue growing up dealing with females. It was just, I went through the average things that most men go through, heartbreak, all that type of stuff. So it was what it was. So, but I think on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call it a wrap. I got a little bit more studying to do. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to shout out their platforms. I appreciate y'all for being here. Let me see. Let me get this StreamYard cracking. All right, hold on. We're going to start with J.I., the guest, who I would love to have back. Go ahead, J.I.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, I'll definitely be back, man. I like your channel. I'm just the guy that floats around this red pill space. I don't have a channel per se. Well, I do have a channel. Y'all can go subscribe. I don't post like that though. But I just have a different view about some things, and I'm just not afraid to voice it. My main thing is financial abortion for men. Men, we have to fight on a legal playing field to advocate for things that make sense for us, just like every other group. This relationship stuff, honestly, is entertaining, but it's for the birds. All right, women gonna do what they want to do. It is what it is. Improve on yourself and try to put yourself in a position to take the least amount of risk and get the most of what you want. But men as a whole, we have to come together to band together for our issues unapologetically. Unapologetically. All right, the same way any other group fights for their interests. And until we do that, we're going to continue to be losing and at the bottom. But that's all I got, man. I'll definitely be back. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Japree's left before I can get her. All right. King Jizzle.
All right. As always, CJ, man, I appreciate you having me on. The panel tonight was wonderful, man. It really was. And so for everyone that's watching, please take the initiative to like and then subscribe, because you're always going to get something nice when you come here. And CJ has guaranteed that. But as for me, as CJ mentioned, the name of the podcast is The King Gene. And so what the podcast focuses on is developing yourself into the best version of who you are. We really focus on manhood and what it means to be a man, not just a male. And then we advocate for things that affect men, their issues. So if you would, please like, comment, and subscribe to my platform as well. And one thing about it, I appreciate the fact that tonight we were able to talk candidly as men, but we were also able to temper our words so that, we weren't in a position where we were offending anyone. So I appreciate that, CJ. Thank you for having me.
For sure. One thing I like about King Gene's channel is that when I listen to, like, King Gene got the type of channel and a type of voice where you could just put it on in the car and drive. It's not a rough, King Gene he sound like a smooth talking Mississippi player when he talk and everything like that. You could turn on the live stream and you could just listen as you driving or getting to wherever you need to go. And then you'll find yourself being like, that's some real shit he just said. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I dig about King Gene's channel. I'm going to pass it to the homie CKQ.
How you doing? If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button to see the CJ Kyles show, right? It's the CJ Kyles now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he always has great content on here. Go over to my channel, the CKQ podcast. Clements, that's me. I'm the host, Clement. I go live every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Go live tomorrow. And we pretty much talk about similar topics like this, which is men and women and how our dynamics relate in bigger society. And that's really just it. So come there, hit that like button if you haven't already. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, man, I like CKQ's channel too, man. I like the bow tie he wear. He didn't wear it tonight. I was a little disappointed, but it's always next time. So y'all go check out CKQ podcast. They do a real good job over there chopping things up and everything like that with the nice sound effects and all that good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get up out of here, I can't let you leave without giving y'all the joke of the day. Are you ready for the joke of the day, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if you're not, that's all right.
Let's get it.
All right. How do you get a country girl's attention? A tractor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That has been the CJ Kyles Experience. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Hit that like button on your way in, on your way out. I'm just studying for the night. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something early in the day. I know, Clement, you got your show tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, yeah, I'll be tuning in to Clement's show. Y'all check out Clement's show. I may do some early afternoon or something like that. And should be a good one. I know, King Gene, you do a lot of early shows too, right? Yes.
I do.
Yeah, so y'all go check out King Gene, you know, in the morning time, you know, you just getting done from making love to your woman. You put on a nice pot of coffee and turn on some King Gene in the morning. You know what I'm saying? You talking about some good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, have your woman make you some French toast and you put on the game and you listen to King Gene in the background. But ladies and gentlemen, these are my guys. I appreciate them being here. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Peace. Let me end it before